the line that Clarence says is, "You see, George, you really had a wonderful life," and that's when it really, really, really sets in with him. He's like, "Dude, where's Mary? You got to show me Mary.
Yeah,
where's Mary at?"
And well, and it's funny because he's like, "I don't want to tell you, George," and it's like the most terrible thing in the world is that the fact that she never was married.
She's an old maid.
Yeah. Like
your brother's dead, but I cannot tell you about Mary being a librarian.
She's an old maid, and they pan into her, and she's just not wearing makeup. Welcome to The Cover, where three Hoosier friends judge books by their covers and movies by their trailers.
That's right. I'm Brett, here with my fellow Indiana natives, Remington and Marcus, ready to dive into the stories that keep us up all night and occasionally put us to sleep.
Whether you're a bookworm, movie buff, or just here for the witty banter, we've got you covered.
Each week, we'll dissect a different book or movie, sharing fun facts, hot takes, and moments that make Marcus cry. Spoiler alert, we're not experts, but we're definitely opinionated.
From literary masterpieces to blockbuster flops, nothing is safe from our snarky reviews and wild tangents. Who knew Hoosiers could be this entertaining?
So grab your popcorn and reading glasses because we're about to embark on a hilarious journey through the pages and screens that shape our lives. Or at least our weekends.
You're listening to The Cover. Let's get the show on the road before one of our kids wakes up.
The Herald Angels sing, because that was the funniest thing that I've experienced since we started doing this podcast.
We don't know in this moment as we record if my solo cut is the opener of that episode. If it was amazing. But if not, I get it. I completely get it. What's
just like
It was hark the herald sing newborn king.
So what's new is that Rem and I just experienced opening night at the Fishers Event Center.
Yeah.
They don't have a official sponsor yet, but it's pretty cheap. If you're listening to this podcast, it's between $800,000 and $900,000 a year.
Yeah,
it's a pretty good deal.
If you want to name the building whatever you want, you can do it for just under $1 million.
The Sir Remington Ramsey Event Center.
The Cover Event Center.
Within
we need some more people on Patreon. If
90 seconds.
Just a few though.
Of the first dropped puck.
No, not even 90.
Dude, we experienced a fight
right in front
of us.
Nice.
And here's the deal: we both took our 7-year-old daughters, and I don't know. You don't think about these things with your first kid.
Yeah.
You don't think about what to tell them about a live sporting event. You don't think about what to tell them about the fans that are in that. You don't think about any of these things. So we're like, it's hockey. I'm like, it's kind of like soccer, but they're on ice. They're watching them warm up.
Yeah.
And I see them literally a minute in drop and start punching.
And it was and hockey's surreal because the crowd loves it.
Yeah.
They cannot wait for it.
So I'm like, and then I'm like,
especially minor league hockey. Like
that's why you're there.
Yeah.
I look down at Willow and she's just perplexed.
Could not understand. Charlie looks at me. She goes, "Dad, is everyone okay?"
Reed. I guarantee Reed would love it.
Oh, dude, it was awesome. It was
so the challenge is there are no rules. Like when you go to Pacers games and there's someone belligerent, like cursing, they'll get kicked out of the game.
Right.
And that's a pro sport, 18,000. When you're at a minor league hockey game, you have to expect that. And I didn't realize that. We'll see how many family nights we'll spend there. I feel like we were pretty lucky because
it was not as bad as I would have.
Right, in terms of like language and stuff.
Correct. Yeah. Couple F-bombs here there in the distance, but not anything.
Directly around us.
Yeah, no, it was great. So I will say,
not like taking your kid to a Mona Bell game.
Oh, really?
Depends on No, not. But overall experience, I mean, amazing. I'm really excited for it. Working out kinks as any place is going to.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that.
I talked. What was the over under on the? Now we were in the back. We would have been the last people to leave anyway. But what was over under on us getting to the truck and waiting?
So, we didn't get out of there. It took us 40 minutes to get out of the parking lot.
Oh yeah.
Before we moved though. What would you say? I told Nate 25 minutes.
Is that what it was?
That was my guess.
At least. We didn't move at all. We were just in the parking spot.
They got some exit strategy situations figured out, but there's options.
Now, I will tell you, we all exited the north side of the building, like everyone in there, and I was looking to see if the south exits were open, and none of them were, but apparently on night 2, you could exit from anywhere, and that will change things.
Yeah.
Because it was just a huge old bottleneck. But they have concerts there. They have
dude, they've got Blake
3 different leagues.
Violin girl was there.
Oh, really? The Instagram girl?
Yeah.
Yep, she's already been there?
Yeah.
Lindsay Sterling.
Well, shoot, man, we got to get a list of events.
So I mean, they're crushing.
It's a great venue though for those kinds of things.
It's a very cool venue.
Professional.
I'm excited too. Like the Mad Ants one, they're going to do all that stuff too.
Second year of a pro volleyball league.
Nice.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah. We know a guy.
And Fisher's Freight. Which is Fisher's
football,
Freight, which
in
is
arena league football, which actually I think would be a lot of fun.
We'll see how that goes. It's pretty intense to play football and where
deal, guys.
I mean,
If
I
they
can throw the
suck,
distance.
That's arena football is like that though.
Just touchdown after touchdown.
Yeah, it's fast.
Field goal kicker.
There are no field goals.
Oh.
Dang it!
There are no field goals. Anyone could kick a field goal in that. It's very small, but I'm excited about volleyball.
Yeah.
Second year of pro volleyball.
Yeah.
Riley's also fired up.
You know what? I just wanted to say Merry Christmas to all of our listeners.
Merry Christmas.
Today is Christmas.
You know, if you're listening to this on Christmas, I'm not upset. I'm not upset about that. You might be traveling. You might be trying to get away from the kids for a minute. If you're not listening to
this on Christmas, I'm a little upset.
I mean, what are you doing if you're not listening to the cover on the Christmas?
You know who won't be listening?
All you got to do is just, put the cover on, open up some presents, hot chocolate, fire cackling,
We'll
perfect.
We'll let you know that It's a Wonderful Life should be a family-friendly episode, I believe. But,
we'll see.
But you know what?
You know what's crazy is you think it's a no-brainer, but there's a lot of stuff.
There's some things. You mean the movie itself in terms of a family movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely have to explain a couple things.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We are, however, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5 flaming rum punches in, and 3 eggnogs. So with the bourbon. So maybe.
So what are we drinking tonight?
That's not what we we haven't consumed that much.
Welcome.
No, we have not consumed.
Oh, not each. Yeah, collectively. Welcome to the Cover Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brett Wiggins. Actually, I need to update that. I'm the host, Brett Wiggins. And as always, to my left,
just Marcus Mangus.
Mangus. Sitting to my right, future name on the front of Fisher's Event Center, Sir
Remington Ramsey.
What are we covering, Rem?
We are covering It's a Wonderful Life. George Bailey has spent his entire life giving himself to the people of Bedford Falls. He has always longed to travel, but never had the opportunity in order to prevent rich, skinflint Mr. Potter... Gotta be careful when you say that word. From taking over the entire town. All that prevents him from doing so is George's modest building and loan company, which was founded by his generous father. But on Christmas Eve, George's uncle Billy loses the business's $8,000 while intending to deposit it into the bank. Mr. Potter finds the misplaced money and hides it from Uncle Billy. When the bank examiner discovers the shortage later that night, George realizes that he will be held responsible and sent to jail, and the company will collapse, finally allowing Mr. Potter to take over the town. Thinking of his wife Mary, their 4 children, and others he loves will be better off with him dead, he contemplates suicide. But the prayers of his loved ones result in his guardian angel named Clarence Oddbody coming to Earth to help him with the promise of earning his wings. He shows him what things would have been like if he had never been born. This movie is It's a Wonderful Life in 1946, PG rating, 2 hours and 10 minutes long.
Wow. $8,000, by the way, I just looked it up. Back then would have been worth about $100,000 today.
Yeah, 115. There's a lot of numbers that I looked up to...
No joke. What was time period? This would have been during
present
War.
day. Yeah, present day, because they talk about men going off the war and coming back, and actually the guy who plays George Bailey, Jimmy Stewart, had just gotten back from serving, and almost didn't do it because of that, but decided to take the role. Yeah,
awesome. There's
definitely a lot of war references in this that when you're just watching it, it might you gloss over it, but then when you're watching it to take notes for something like this podcast, you're like, what's that?
But see,
and
isn't
then you
that
realize,
interesting?
Like F4 or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like their draft number or whatever.
Isn't
It's
that
like,
interesting what we know about World War II now? And it makes what we learned about in Casablanca so much more interesting, that like they were using specific lines like America's asleep, everyone's asleep, everyone's not paying attention.
Yeah.
And it's because he's referencing the fact did you say just take a little swig of that rum punch, buddy?
Dude, it's flaming.
Think
It's
that-
flaming.
It's literally flaming.
I think that rum punch is
We set it on
moving
fire.
around. You get different hits of different things.
Brendan
Yeah,
Kelsey prepared this for us.
hits
They
you and
literally lit it on
stings the
fire.
nostrils.
Look up the recipe if you're listening. It's
Good old
intense.
Clarence.
Yeah, we'll get to Clarence here in a bit. But I just think that's interesting because this movie references it very slightly. But what we know about World War II now, I don't think they portrayed very well as to what was going on in the country at the time. Like,
zero. Yeah.
or maybe that's what was happening.
Maybe
Maybe
that is.
in the parts of the country, they're like, they don't really know what's going on. This would have been before social media. The town that you lived in would have been in control of the media. In this case, Potter, like when they showed the alternative life,
Yep.
Potter could control the narrative. So just very interesting for 1946 to have very little war reference.
Well, I mean, I thought it was at least kind of cool that you get to run essentially from, 1919 or whatever through 1946. You do it fairly
When he's a
quickly.
kid, yeah.
You do fairly quickly because they do have the stuff about how he was he helped out as a warden or whatever, and he would help with different tire drives and all the different.
He was
things
the
that
air
they had to do.
raid warden.
Air
which
raid warden.
Anytime I hear air raid, it takes me back to you at Wabash.
Yeah.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
What I knew going into it, I cannot remember why I watched it the first time I watched it, but it was only a few years ago, and it has become a Christmas Eve tradition. Immediately overnight at midnight, I'm watching It's a Wonderful Life.
Midnight.
Midnight
On Christmas Eve?
Oh yeah.
Are you going to do it again since you already
yeah.
watched it?
Every
You
year.
love it that much.
Yeah. It's my
Like
kids
you
are all
start
asleep.
it at midnight.
It will end past midnight. But I take a bunch of meats, and I have this what's the little smoker guys that we've got,
Smokers?
but in house.
Little smokers.
Little
It's
smokers?
this little glass
Little
configuration
smokies.
I got as a present. Shout out Jeff Bry. And I put some cheese, some fine cheeses in there, and some meats, and I smoke them all up, and then I sit in my chair and drink
Just
a
you?
bourbon. And Riley has watched it with me the last 2 years.
Does she like it as much as you do?
She does not. She does not. So she was like, I'm watching it with you one time, and I was like, all right. So we watched it for this episode.
By the way, Christmas gifts. Jeff Bry, good gift giver.
He's a great.
He's
I
a
was
great-
Just talking about this.
We've
with,
mentioned Jeff
Josh
on the
Moore.
show many times. I think it's finally time to give him a shout out as to who he is to you.
Jeff Bry is the region manager for the Midwest in Vector and Cutco. But my longest standing leader I've ever had before. I mean,
Yeah.
we're 17 years on. He's had a big impact on.
An amazing
Yeah.
giver of gifts.
Oh, amazing giver of gifts. Amazing dresser. I mean, he's
Yeah.
top of the line. High
yeah,
standards.
he's
Classy
got,
dude.
he's got a great dresser.
Uh,
Oh, you meant he dresses well.
he dresses well. Yeah.
Got it.
How do you know what his dresser looks like?
It's mahogany. It's great. Yeah.
He probably does have a nice dresser.
So as always, we're watching It's a Wonderful Life in the background on mute, and they just got to freeze frame. And
Oh, yeah.
great movies change the game. This was the first director in movie to ever premiere freeze frames.
No way.
Yeah, so where George Bailey pauses, he goes, "I want a big one.
That
This
is in
this
my
big."
notes as just an epic moment.
It is so good. It's something that you would not expect for a 1940s movie.
So then it was like, what's happening?
Mm-hmm.
I bet in the theater there was a moment of, did something mess
Yeah,
up?
because the sound's going, but
Yep.
this is stopped. Something's wrong with the film.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Another thing I noticed is we are so, music is such a huge part of movies now. There's always music. I had it in my notes. There was not music playing to like transfer to a scene until something suspenseful happened like 30 minutes in.
Mm-hmm.
There was just a lot of cuts in between where it's just silence and it's just them moving or walking or whatever. And that's not normal anymore.
I wrote that it was very much like Screw Tape Letters. It felt like C.S. Lewis telling a story because they show you at the very beginning a freeze frame of the sky and different lights glistening when, angels are talking to each other.
Yeah.
But the narration through the first 30 minutes of the movie is very C.S. Lewis writing. Did you notice that? Did you get any of that classic writing?
You mean just like the style?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could totally see that. I wasn't. I like that. Yeah.
Do you know book first? No, just straight
It's a
to
Wonderful
game?
Life?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Frank Capra, I believe, correct? Capra.
Capra?
Capra.
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 For the director?
Yes.
Yeah. I have some fun facts about who was queued up for it.
Well, I'm excited about
You
that.
guys aren't going to know the guy. You might know the name, though. There was only one other person who was earmarked to play George Bailey.
Man, I'll tell you what, Jimmy Stewart nailed it.
Yeah, I mean, this is the one I feel like defines him. We
I
do a
just
lot
don't
of...
think he's like a super convincing 18-year-old, but
yeah, that was pretty interesting. Great scene, though. Great. You talking about at the...
He's 22.
he's 22 when he comes
He works
back.
for 4 years to save to go. And when he goes to the prom,
yeah.
he's 22.
He is 22.
That's 4.
The first time you see him, he's 22.
Oh,
22,
okay,
yeah.
whatever. 22, 18, what's the difference? We're old.
Yeah. Marcus, what'd you know going into it? First
You know
time
what's
watched?
interesting is this is a movie that I hadn't ever seen, and you saw it and got really excited about it, and I was like, I guess I'll give it a chance. It looks old. I don't think I'll like this very much. 2 hours later, I'm sitting there on my couch bawling, and I was like, I totally understand why Brett likes this movie. So
I've never watched.
sometime after you did, I watched it. I mean, I knew a lot. I knew it was popular. I just, I'm not always going to watch a bunch of, black and white movies.
I've never watched the color version. Anybody watch the color version? You have?
It looks
I
like
might
the
have
Wizard of
watched the
Oz.
color version this
So
time.
did you now that you've seen it, is it?
I don't mind it. I know that Jimmy Stewart hated it and the director hated it.
Got it. I just like the black and white of it. It makes
I like
it makes
black
you
and
feel
white.
like you're back there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like black and white better.
All right.
Did you guys feel like Donna Reed looks like Ingrid Bergman?
A little bit.
I thought it was Ingrid Bergman.
I actually asked myself that question.
Donna
Yeah.
Reed is Mary?
Yeah.
Man, she's beautiful.
But doesn't
Gorgeous.
she remind you of Ingrid Bergman from Casablanca, the leading lady?
Oh.
If you Google
I think
Donna
a lot
Reed,
of the leading. I think a lot of the
Does
leading
Ingrid
ladies
come
back
up?
in the
No,
day
no.
were kind of cut and paste. like
take
that,
your
though.
phone out. Google.
I did. I looked.
No, but Google here. You take your phone out.
Okay.
Type in Donna Reed looks and see what Google tells you.
What's the fill-in?
Yeah, just see before you even type it in. Just Donna Reed looks. I want to see if I'm in an echo chamber.
Like Ingrid Bergman. Guess what I did? When I typed in $8,000 worth, it automatically said in 1946
yeah,
or whatever. Because so many people have Googled what was 8,000.
during Christmas, I bet. During Christmas. I wonder if you Googled that in June, if that would be the same
Interesting.
thing.
Google's deep, man.
Yeah,
They're deep.
scary.
Marcus.
Did it come up?
I don't know.
You got
me
distracted?
to open up my phone, so I was just.
Now you're
looking
checking
I was
fantasy
looking at
scores?
fantasy football, and our group chat, and everything
man.
else.
Well, we'll just.
Yeah, we should just not.
I'm good. I'm good. I don't need
I'm
to
good too.
look.
Rem,
Rem is
We'll
so
see.
not good.
hey, you have a chance.
Marcus,
You
I
have
think
a chance to not have a
I
bye.
think you need time.
No, I'm good.
Oh, you're good? All right. You want to go?
Sure.
I'll go. You want to go?
I can go.
Okay, go ahead. All right.
I think I can go.
We got our 9-word synopsis. What does it go for?
All right, here we go. Desperate man meets angel and reconsiders his life's impact.
I love it. We do have a podcast first. We have our first ever juggle in the moment. Having to rewind.
Yeah.
Hey man, it's good. That was a good one.
Yeah.
It's a good one. He's gonna wake up at 2 a.m. and think about that.
Yeah.
All right. Now
Disappointed in myself.
30 seconds of slam poetry. I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm going long. George Bailey.
Brett practices this.
Helps
I come
in-
in here and I figure it out on the fly, and Brett practices so much that he knows he's going long.
Helps an angel get his wings. Saving Brother Harry. Mr. Gower. There were many good deeds. George is going to travel. No, he's not. George is going to college. No, he's not. George going to travel for real this time. No, he's not. Mary loves George through it all. Bailey Park becomes a home for Bedford Falls. Potter's offer got George excited, but at the end of the day, his disdain was only reignited. Uncle Billy's mistake. George tries to save face. Crawling back to Potter, George considers death. Impromptu. Never fear. Clarence to the rescue. Pottersville? What's happening? Is this a nightmare come true? You really never know the impact you have, do you? Gower, Martini, Mother, Harry, it all hurt really bad, but none quite as bad as Mary. He prays for his old life back. He had a newfound appreciation. Boy, he was jacked. Loving all of the things that he used to see as below the status quo, but the whole time George Bailey was the richest guy we know.
He was so proud of that last line.
That's my favorite scene, man. That's my favorite scene. I'm crying before that scene happens, but that's
anticipating
my
it.
What's that?
What are you crying from?
When they start just everybody trickling in with all the money it's just the person after person after person, and then just Harry's icing on the cake.
I think it's actually really similar to the idea of the funeral that you guys were talking about. And I think there's a fair amount of similarities between Christmas Story and this.
Christmas Carol.
Sorry, Christmas Carol. Yeah, sorry.
I don't think there's very many similarities from A Christmas Story to It's a Wonderful Life.
Fair enough. Christmas Carol and It's a Wonderful Life. But as you're talking, I actually think in some ways, he doesn't die, but he sees the impact that he makes, and then all of the people come.
Yeah.
And it was his wife that was the impetus there, and I think that part's beautiful too. It's like she recognizes
100%.
something's up and has the kids pray, but then she goes out and makes something happen.
Yeah, and I know this is fiction, but how many of the biographies that we've read and done on the show has a strong, awesome woman been behind these great men? Yeah, man, she steps in right away, rallies the troops. Yeah.
Speaking of strong, independent women, even the fun facts that I was looking up were a little sexist. So they literally said they had a sharpshooter ready to go for the scene where she's supposed to throw a rock through the window from the street. They didn't know that she played like softball, and so she actually threw it herself and surprised everybody. But to be honest, like in this day and age, like that would be a really triggering thing to say. Is like, we have someone ready to throw this for you,
just in case.
Just in case.
Whatever. I think the actresses today would just be like, You've got this on. You can dub this in right on the sound.
CGI.
Except for Jennifer Lawrence. You ever heard her story about?
Does she do her own stunts?
Well, no. But have you heard her story about being featured in Abercrombie and Fitch catalog?
No.
First photo shoot, her agent gets her.
Everybody's heard this story.
Yeah, well, it's a real. It comes up a lot.
Maybe on yours.
It does, because she's my crush, my celebrity crush. So her agent gets her in this Abercrombie and Fitch shoot. They're playing football on the beach, and then they get the catalog. She got paid and everything. They get the catalog, and they didn't pick any pictures with her in it. And her agent reaches out to Abercrombie and Fitch, and they're like, "We'll send you the pictures." All these girls are on the beach being cute and fun, and like she's like linebacker tackling these people. People are running from her like, "Leave me alone."
That's so funny.
Yeah,
Did you see the pictures, or just her describing them?
Just her.
She's a
describing.
good storyteller.
She is. She's great.
Yeah.
That's
she's
funny.
Great.
She's great in those ads.
How
This
epic
scene's
is this scene?
dude. Them almost falling in the water in the pool.
Every time this scene happens, I'm like, oh, this is the movie where they have that. Because there's a couple other movies where it's like similar to that.
Sure.
But this is the one that I always forget that this is the movie where this happens.
How good does the principal play his role of principal?
Jumping into the pool.
Oh, he's so
Did we
good.
describe what's happening? This is when they open up at the prom, basically. They open up the gym floor and it becomes a pool. Because the pool's underneath the gym floor.
It must be more like a homecoming, right? Because that's why everybody would be.
It's
there.
not prom. It's
By
like
the way, another like kind of hidden gem. George is doing all these deeds for everybody. There are so many moments, whether it's Sam Wainwright and the whole plastics facility idea in Bedford Falls, or the principal says, "George, great idea, having us looking into the research of the pool underneath the floor." Like, George is the reason they saved all this money for the pool to be under the floor. It's kind of cool. Marcus, what's the smirk for? Anything?
I was just laughing at producer Nate over there smiling at me.
I might be driving the Bronco home.
When you said George Wainwright, I said, "Eeyaw."
Oh, yeah.
Those eons get a little annoying after the fourth one.
Agreed.
Eon.
Yeah, when he leans into it, that's when I get angry about it.
George?
Sam. When Sam Wainwright leans into it as a 27-year-old or whatever, I'm like, that's
because the only time you actually hear that is the very opening scene, right? Where the kids are throwing him into his job, like his.
No, I think he does it in about every scene.
He does it on the
as
phone
a kid?
with Mary and them. He does it.
No, I'm talking about as kids.
You only see him as a kid once.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that he does it in every scene.
Yeah, Marcus did not like it. I can sense.
I might give it 1 point less.
What made us stop and think? Stop and think about It's a Wonderful Life.
Why is George's father 80 years old? You
He's
notice
pretty
that?
old.
Well, because George is actually 55. No, I'm just kidding.
No, as a kid, he's very old when he sees him at the bank or wherever he is.
So you know how the credits always run at the beginning?
Yep.
In these older movies especially? First note I wrote down, what made me think, is Lionel Barrymore related to Drew Barrymore?
Did you look it up?
There's a lot of those situations.
It's like her uncle or great.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, dude. There's
Yeah.
a lot of those like in Hollywood. So
Oh yeah, that's what I
kid will be
mean.
in
Because she
Hollywood.
was also a child star, I believe. So I thought, I bet they are.
He does look young here, Mangus. He looks young.
He looks pretty. So he's 20. He's supposed to be 22 right
He's
here?
38. He does not look 38 right here.
Yeah.
They do a good job of making him look in his
Oh,
20s.
a great job with no CGI.
This is such funny dialogue. This entire scene
It
where they're
is fun. Would you feel ridiculous doing that? If you're them as the actors, would you feel kind of ridiculous doing this part of the movie?
why? What?
It's just kind of silly. It's kind of
They're walking back from being wet in the pool, and she's got a robe on, and he's got old clothes, and they're singing, acting goofy. What part makes you feel?
They're courting.
When they're about
Buffalo gals.
when
Won't
they're
you come
about
out
to
tonight?
when he drops, he picks up her train and gives it back to her, and she goes, "You may kiss my hand." It's a silly. Yeah,
I
it's
think
a
the
silly
old
scene.
it's
guy's the
great.
best. I think the old guy's the best, where he's like,
Kiss her.
He's like, kiss her already. He's like, love is lost on the youth.
Do you think they actually casted that role for an older Irish man, or did they find him? They were like, "You're doing this, and that's your accent." He nails it.
I was just going to say, I don't think he looks 22 in this. I think he looks old. And then I realized, oh, crap, he's the same age as us.
Well, dude, he looks great. Okay, so there are a couple of drunks in this movie. Dude, drunks don't play the way drunks used to.
No.
This is great drunk play.
Yeah.
These drunks.
It was also widely accepted, like funny drunks.
There was so as an example, Barney Fife, what's that show?
Andy Griffith.
Andy Griffith, okay.
Hey,
Who's the town
Otis.
drunk?
Otis.
No. Is it Otis?
I think it's Otis,
I
the
don't
town
know.
drunk.
Well,
All right,
Opie.
we'll look it up.
Opie.
No, Opie's the little kid.
Okay, well then Otis.
Pretty
So,
sure
but
it's Otis.
it's like, oh, Otis is drunk again. Throw him in jail for the night, whatever. You're right. Back then it was more kind of just silly. And these dudes, Mr. Gower, well, not he's more of a sad drunk, but
Uncle Billy is the funniest
Uncle Billy.
one.
Uncle Billy asking, "What'd you say?" And he said nothing.
He's like, "Where's your hat?" All right, which one's mine?
This is the middle
The
one.
middle one. So, fun fact for you: when he stumbles off and goes in that direction, there's a big commotion of trash cans being hit.
Mm-hmm.
That actually was not supposed to happen. He didn't actually do that. There was an extra carrying a bunch of props, and at that moment dropped them all, and Uncle Billy ad-libbed "I'm okay."
No way.
And it's known. It's one of the
That's
most well-known
great.
scenes.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
Can you imagine just being in the zone as an actor and just reactive to every single thing? I mean, there's so many. As I'm going through like some of these deep hidden facts of these great movies, there's so many monumental memories that we have that were created out of accident and reaction.
So easy to get upset in those moments instead of just rolling with it. I mean, that's awesome.
Otis Campbell, the town drunk,
Otis.
and Mayberry.
Great drunks back then. We need to work on our
Great
drunks.
callback.
Great. Fantastic.
Did you watch Andy Griffith?
Not much.
Really?
Man,
Did you watch I Love
money
Lucy?
on Marcus watching Andy
A
Griffith.
little bit.
But not Andy Griffith. That's shocking that you did not watch.
I'm
Andy
also
Griffith.
shocked. Next question for me.
I think you guys had cable. I don't think it was on the normal channel.
Oh, I didn't have
by
cable.
then-
I watched it at my grandpa's house in his garage.
On cable.
He had
Might have been on PBS actually, Marcus.
It might have been.
I think it was on PBS, but it was also on the WGN. WGN is what it was back in the day.
That was
TV
not
Land?
one of the stations I got.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
It was one of. Anyway.
I didn't get TV Land either because I didn't have cable.
Well, no, WGN was it? Not
Did you watch it on
cable for a
YouTube?
little bit?
We didn't have YouTube.
Did you watch it on MySpace?
Someone's gonna confirm this.
Might have watched it on
the
MySpace.
policeman and the taxi driver. Bert and Ernie.
Yeah.
Is there
I
any
wonder if
connection
I still
there?
have
Is
it.
that a thing?
They claim that it was not direct
Ernie and Bert.
connection.
The Muppets.
Muppets
or
claimed,
Sesame
the
Street?
creators of the Muppets claimed that it was coincidence.
Wait, isn't it Sesame Street?
Sesame Street.
Whatever.
Yeah, Sesame
Bert and
Street.
Ernie?
Bert and Ernie.
I
They
think
do
it's the
say Ernie and
Rugrats.
Bert, not Bert and Ernie. But yeah, I wondered that immediately because they are kind of goofy and silly too. So maybe.
Yeah, no way it wasn't.
Did you guys write down any thought? I mean, maybe I'm the only one that did this, but like since it's such a great movie, I was looking for like some great acting moments. Were there any acting moments that stood out to you? Obviously, the end when there's the height of the movie.
I mean,
but
okay, George's speech at the bail and bond building when I don't know what hits, if it's the depression or whatever it is,
When
the
they're trying to
bank's
get the
out.
Oh, the run on the bank?
That whole selling them on your money's in their house. I wrote that down for sure. That was pretty epic.
there's a fun fact in there too. I'm just, for me, and we're about to come up on it, and I want you guys to watch this. When he walks in to the abandoned house and she's created this honeymoon for him.
Yeah.
And she's got rotisserie chickens by the fire and everything like that. As he walks in, he takes only a handful of steps and he's just looking around. And it's some of the best acting with no dialogue I've ever seen.
Oh, that's good.
Now that you say that, when he's kind of speechless
Mm-hmm.
and doesn't know what to say to her, and he's trying to almost be silly.
Yeah.
And then his buddy, the taxi driver,
Yeah.
kind of pushes him to just walk in.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah. So it's from that moment. You're feeling everything he's feeling. You think he's going to say something and he doesn't, and then you think you know what he's thinking and you don't.
Yeah.
And you're begging. What do you think? Like, what are you feeling? It's just.
I have a movie magic for that moment.
Oh, you said you're going to ruin everything I just said?
Well, not really. It's still special.
I'm going to rate it an 8. Go ahead.
Are they just squatters?
Squatters at that moment? I don't know. I don't know what the rule is on like who owns that or what.
Well, because I thought, what's the loophole here? The
I think
loophole
once you
is
have a cop on your side, all bets are off.
the loophole. That's true. The loophole would be that the Bailey bond building owns it because they defaulted on the loan. So they just happened to own that old mansion.
It was very Greatest Showman of the moment, like
Yeah, that's
our
good.
childhood
Yeah.
mansion, and then we fixed
Greatest
fixed it up.
Showman or The Notebook.
Yeah.
The Notebook. Yep.
Yeah.
So anyway, squatters.
They called it a
Greatest
hotel,
Showman's
right? Like they
great.
said it was a hotel, like a bed and breakfast at one point.
Might have been like a bed and breakfast or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Nice looking house. I think my favorite acting moment, or the scene that really sticks out to me from an acting perspective, is when Potter is trying to convince him to come and work for him.
Yeah.
That's the one that
'Cause-
that Brett famously used in his league-winning video.
Oh man.
That was
Do you
so
find
good.
yourself wanting him to do it for a little bit? Do you find yourself wanting him to take the payday?
I wish I could go back and remember how I felt the first time I watched the movie, because now I'm so waiting for him to snap into reality.
But the thing is, he doesn't explain why. He just gets frustrated and says, screw you and your money. He doesn't explain to Potter in that moment why he's turning him down.
But I think he has explained to Potter
He has in the past.
before, right? I think that's it. He just remembers why he's doing it in the first place.
Yeah.
Which is so, I get it. He's so frustrated with his life that it hasn't turned out how he wanted it to.
It would certainly be easier for him.
Yeah, but he also is just not willing. Every single time in the movie there's somebody that needs help, he can't not do it.
Mm-hmm.
He just always has to. He always has to do it, and I think that's.
Wouldn't it be so easy though to just talk yourself into the fact that it's like, well, why can't I just do all this good stuff here
100%.
and actually help
that
change Potter's?
Yeah, I'm expecting him to say that because he's he's not changing who he is. This is really good money, and like, wow, you could change it from the inside, but they don't go that direction. Do you know what he turned down? The dollars, $20,000. You know what that was worth?
$20,000 a year.
$20,000 a year for 3 years.
250 grand.
No, it was over 350. So it would have he was basically offering him the $1 million over the course of 3 years.
Shoot.
Wow.
To run the show,
Yeah.
and that's, I mean, bananas.
But by the way, and
I probably would have said yes.
By the way, but you're thinking about that. He was making $45 a week.
Yeah.
At this point, so you're not. It's not just saying yes to $1 million over 3 years. It's saying yes to $1 million over 3 years after making $3,000 or whatever. Now I'm lost on the math.
I'm gonna work on that for you.
It's $4,000 a year.
He was making $4,000 a year.
It's $5,000 a year
in 1940s.
Well, yeah, but but I was just trying to figure out.
It's 4 times as much.
Okay.
$5,000 a year times 4 is 20, which is 20,000. You're trying to figure out how much he was making in real dollars today.
In real dollars today, yeah. So it's basically a 8,000. 8,000 was 120, right? 8,000 was 120. So it's like 13x.
So 5 times 13.
Yeah, sure.
65.
Yeah.
Yeah, 65 over
very-
3 years.
350K compared to 350.
The funny thing about that number though is like you can't like. I do this thing where I feel like 10 years ago was the 90s. Do you ever do that?
Oh, yeah,
You're like
for
10
sure.
years ago was
Yeah.
the 90s. 10 years ago was like 2014.
Yeah.
So like we say 65, and for me, I kind of froze economics when I was in college. So 65 grand today is not even 65 grand of 5 years ago.
No.
So 65 grand is not, I don't know what 65 grand would have been at that time, but it would have gone a lot farther.
You got the price on something and you were like, yeah, that's right. No, every time I'm like, what's going on and why is this so much money?
It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Every time.
Gas is about the only thing that actually makes sense these days because it's just kind of staying where it was the last 10 years.
Yeah, because it's spiking. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I ever, now that I'm thinking about it, I didn't ever expect him. That just wouldn't flow. It wouldn't flow. It wouldn't flow with the movie. It's not who he is.
For him to take it?
Yeah.
Well, obviously he's not going to take it.
Yeah, it doesn't work
we
for the
wouldn't-
movie.
we wouldn't have a movie.
However,
It does suck that
think
Potter
they're-
never admits that he took the money.
yeah, yeah. That's
That-
worse than Grandpa Joe.
That's well, yeah, it is.
Not much.
He is based
but
off
it's
of,
worse than Grandpa
He is
Joe.
based off of Scrooge, by the way. if
He
you want a little
apparently
bit of a recall.
played Scrooge
He
for a
did.
very long time on the radio.
on the radio.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Interesting. Yeah. But Potter, I think him not giving back the money is what creates the opportunity. It didn't need the money. We'll get to the end scene toward the end, but
That's like the end sequence, basically, or the end game,
Yeah.
if you will.
how did you guys feel at George? It just slowly him missing out on opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, not getting to travel, then not getting to go to college, then Harry comes home and he's like I remember when they got off the train and she says, yeah, my dad offered him a job. And Harry's like, hey, she spoke out of turn, but there is something I want to talk to you about. And he goes and he gets curious now and asks Mary, like, so tell me about this job with your dad. Like, he can't help but.
Is he thinking in that moment, does he have a job for me? Or is he thinking,
oh, man, I didn't even consider that. I thought he was thinking, like,
Harry said he was
my
gonna...
kid brother has a chance to change his family tree. I don't want to take that from him.
So in the moment, George is expecting Harry to come back and relieve him.
Correct.
And she says that, and he's poking around to find out, should I just let him go? Is
Yeah.
how you interpret
Yep.
that?
That's
Yes.
what I thought, too.
Yes.
Yeah. I thought there was a part of him that might be thinking, is there something for me? I thought there was a chance that he was trying to figure out if it really was better because he wants him to stay.
Yeah.
I think loaded conversation.
Yeah, because he's supposed to take over the bail. What I keep on bonds
Loan.
and loan. Bond and loan.
Building and loan.
Building and loan. It's supposed to take it back
Bailey
over.
building, the beautiful old building and loan.
And Harry fully intends on doing this. Like if George didn't say go for it, then he absolutely would have done it. But
Yeah, he probably would have.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think so for sure. But yeah, George just completely selfless. Can't not do it. What else made us think?
Yeah, I mean, well, just were you asking a deeper question about that?
Yeah, just I mean, what'd you feel when he was?
So I'll answer directly from Jimmy Stewart and this is a fun fact, not so fun to be honest. During filming, James Stewart was actively suffering from PTSD and depression due to service in the war, World War II. Stewart told friends that he related a lot to the character of George Bailey. Some of the scenes where George acted in anger was considered cathartic for Stewart in his struggles with mental health. He talks later about becoming notably darker after the war because he felt like his brigade was responsible for civilian deaths in Germany.
Oh, wow.
So he's dealing with this while he's filming this. Literally just got back in the States and got this first job, and that's why he almost turned it away, is because he's dealing with this. But I think he probably felt like part of it was therapeutic.
Yeah. And that's what, by the outburst you're saying, that was like...
Acting in this character in a story where it's putting things in perspective about life that could have been. Because it'd be really easy to do the same thing with war. Like, I could have lived a life where I didn't go to war. But yeah, it's when you know these fun facts. So like right now, he's dealing with we're 39 minutes into the movie. He goes from happy-go-lucky fun guy to almost immediately just depressed.
And then he kind of climbs back up, and then he falls back down again.
Well, this is right before he goes and has that weird like phone call and stuff, right?
What do you mean? He's just going for a walk, dude.
Yeah, sure.
He's just going for a walk.
Yeah, he's just going for a walk.
This is actually funny.
I think I've just gone for a walk.
He's all excited. Well, take this girl.
Yes. So this is not Veronica. Violet. So
he's turning Violet. Violet.
He has this moment where he's like, "All right, I'm just gonna go for it. I'm gonna tell this girl exactly what I want to do."
Yeah.
And he just,
Oops.
I want to run. I want to take off our shoes and run through the grass, and just gets completely shot down. So then, he's just.
And all of a sudden, there's 30 townspeople around him to laugh him off the screen.
Marcus, anything to add to that conversation before we move on?
Well, I think that I guess I feel like I understand like sacrificing a certain amount.
Yep.
And I don't know, maybe that's why I cry at the end. Because to me, like, my family is my most important ministry. It's the most important thing. And there are certain things that you say no to or that you don't go do, or that you spend a lot of time on for them.
Yeah.
Put a lot of effort in. And so, I think I resonate a lot with that. Not quite, like I left my hometown. Like if I would have stayed in my hometown and tried to do something there, it would have been pretty much dead on.
Yeah.
So not exactly the same, but.
Yeah. I think
I feel that.
He doesn't talk about it, but when they are at Bailey Park ushering Martini into his home, and Sam Wainwright shows up, and Sam has basically a driver, the Rolls Royce of the time.
Yeah.
They're going to Florida, and Sam's like, "Can you believe I tried to get this guy into plastics and he turned me down, da-da-da," and joking. And then he's like, "You guys should come to Florida." And George is like, I can't get away from work for that long. George walking back to his car.
Kicking dirt.
Kicking dirt. He kicks the car on the way there. And I think that's the moments that I think we all, myself included more than anyone, get in those modes, is when we start comparing to other people. We don't know their story. We don't know. They're probably struggling with just as much. We don't know what they sacrificed to have what we think. Like, we just don't know all that background, but we see what we see, and that's what I relate with so much.
It's so easy. I mean, all three of us are in the business world, and we're constantly talking to everyone around us, especially under us, on how to become successful in business. But I catch myself more often than not defining what success means. Because everyone like tries to look to like the easy ones, like athletes. You go to Brady and Jordan, like what's the number one thing they have? They have drive, they have ambition. But to be honest, like the success that they have, I don't define as success anymore. Like if you want true success, like I think of my grandparents, they have 30 some people underneath them that will literally drop anything for them. They are loved. If they decided to create a holiday, every single person would show up to that holiday. They are, they have the love of everybody, the respect of everybody, and they live like kings and queens because they are content. That to me
it's legacy,
is
right?
that
you know how many
maybe
this happens to you guys too, but this happens to us all the time. If we go out to dinner somewhere, we have 6 kids, and so like if we go out to lunch or if we go out to dinner, or even if we're just in the store together, if somebody is over the age of about 70, most of the time they'll come up to us and they'll say, "Oh, you've just got a great family. I really wish we would have had more kids." And they say that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're getting to is like, how many kids did Sam have? He didn't have any kids.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure he worked a ton, but it was to build
That's
that
what's
success.
crazy about it. In the moments where George is taking his eye off what really matters, he's jealous of Sam, where Sam is actually probably jealous of George's life.
Well, yeah,
at
it
a
was the
deeper
girl
level.
that he wanted.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, it's really
Was it?
hard. Well, it's the girl that he said he wanted.
It wasn't Violet.
Well, yeah.
He didn't want Violet.
Well, he was not
No,
Violet.
Mary.
He wanted
George,
Mary.
Because even in the scene, they're
he wanted-
supposedly dating or
This
studying.
is great. This
They-
scene where
her
they're-
mom.
This scene is. You know, we talked about good acting. Like let's talk about when they're like have that phone call. But in a minute, let's talk about that because
You talk about the most wild, off the wall line in movie history. This PG rated Christmas fun go lucky. What does he want? What do you want? He won't answer. She goes,
to make mad
he's
love to
making
her.
violent love to me, mother. Holy cow, where does
I
that line
love
come
Mary's
from?
directness.
Yeah.
What a fun role to play.
Yeah,
Sorry,
for
Marcus, finish up. Good.
All I was gonna say is it's really, really difficult to see that sometimes when you're like changing all these diapers or like you get home and your kids are screaming
Riley-
and stuff like that.
Riley-
Like it's impossible.
We had 3 kids at home today. Riley changed 6 poop diapers by
Nice.
4 o'clock.
Nice.
6 poop diapers.
Yeah. We did that along
mean-
with Remy this last week. He's been sick. So
Man.
Yeah.
just
I-
acid.
It's just I'm just saying like when you're in the middle of all of that or you're trying to make dinner and your kids are just being annoying, like it's really hard to think about like
Their
what
phase
that
of life as a
impact
family
and
is
legacy
very
is.
similar to our phases
yeah,
of life for sure.
very close.
When he loses it.
When he loses, we've all been like, there are definitely times where people have been with me, like Fiacco, before Fiacco had any kids, would be visiting all day at the office. And then we'd get home and all the kids would just jump on me and love me or whatever. And he's like, "Oh, I get it. Like nothing else matters." Because I'm like, yes. What he doesn't see is when the days when you walk in and it's just mad chaos. And then you're like,
you over here,
You know who
over here.
loves it? You know who loves it is grandparents, because you can get as chaotic as you want because there's an expiration date on it. There's a time where they go home and you can just breathe. I remember because Kelsey's parents went from a very small family to a very large family very quickly with 2 marriages and kids on the way. On both sides. And I remember the first time we were all there for like Christmas and we were all in the kitchen / living room area and it was loud, obnoxious. I was trying to calm them down for Grandpa and BB, who we call, she just goes, "I love this. I love every bit of it." I was like, "Yes, but we're leaving in 2 hours and you know that. This doesn't end at home, but it is cool."
Yeah, what if I stayed overnight? Would you love that?
This is
and
one of
never
my-
went to sleep.
This is one of my favorite. It's not a hidden gem, but
Dude,
it's like
this is
when Sam goes, George, pick up the receiver. Is it the receiver? Receiver.
Whatever it is.
The extension. And she goes, "Mother's already on the extension." "No, I'm not."
and into the phone.
Yes.
Dude, I think
So
that
good.
this scene specifically when they're on the phone is just ridiculous. Like there is a lot of energy in
Dude,
between.
Oh,
but
sexual
haven't said-
tension.
Yes,
Yeah, for sure.
But we've been there. Like, it's real, man. That's
What, the sexual tension on the phone?
just like
Well, they're not on the phone. They're in
next to
person.
each other, yeah.
He's smelling her hair, and he's like, "Yeah, I like this."
yeah. And they're in the middle of a fight, but they're not. And then he finally
He like
breaks.
shakes her.
He
like,
finally breaks.
Yeah.
In that realizes he's like in that moment he realizes he's like, I'm gonna stop caring about what
he's
I've
like,
been caring
no,
about.
no. In the moment, he's like, well, maybe staying in Bedford Falls isn't so bad.
I was just going for a walk. What are you talking about?
So they were worried. This was his first love scene ever, and he hadn't been in the States. He hadn't
Ever.
been acting. And so this is the first like passionate kiss on screen, and they were worried about it. So, but they left the cameras running. They actually had to cut out part of this scene because it was deemed too romantic.
Dude, you can see him breathing heavy right before that.
It's passion.
He,
Look at
Well,
it. Look
this
at
is the anger piece that you were talking about that makes it really interesting. Is like he's like mad.
He's angry about his own feelings.
He's angry
Yeah.
about his life. He's angry about his life.
Well, he doesn't want to stay, and he's like, if I commit to this, I'm in. Like I have to stay.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and he's fighting that.
But your hair
feeling.
smells really good. So,
But man,
By the way,
hormones are real and they are powerful.
I
and I'm
never
22.
Oh.
I never quite understood necking.
Well, no, at this time he'd be
until this movie.
At
This
this
movie's
time
got
he'd
some
be
serious-
26 because it's 4 years later. He's 26 when they get married.
Yes. No.
Oh, yeah.
28. 28.
22 plus
Oh,
4.
26. Sorry. You're right.
Yeah.
Sorry. That was in the fourth year.
My
of
favorite
college.
part of this podcast is the math.
So,
I just got the hurry up sign earlier when I was trying to do math.
That was a good call by producer Nate, actually. So George is happy again now. They're married. He's
For like 10 seconds.
fired
Killing
up.
birds with rice.
By the way, when you pause things on Amazon Prime now, it goes to an ad.
Oh, interesting.
Genius.
Wow.
Well, very.
If you
well
don't pay
done.
for the
How
extra.
long is the ad?
You're just paused. No. It's just the screen.
While you're paused.
While you're
it
paused,
has a
it's like a billboard.
billboard.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's genius. Like you can sell every single.
You know who
piece.
can buy
By the way,
it?
why
You-
was Ron Paul in this movie? Do you guys think he looks like Ron Paul?
No.
Rand Paul.
But
Rand
I'm-
Paul.
but I'm not
I think
gonna-
he looks like Rand
I'm not
Paul.
going to tell you who looks like J.K. Simmons in this movie. The dude whose tree George hits when he's drunk looks exactly like J.K. Simmons.
Well, this guy looks like Rand Paul.
Okay.
He actually looks to me like that guy that Tarantino puts in all his movies. Reservoir Dogs and Pulp
I see that.
Fiction.
I
The
see
first
that.
scene of Pulp
We're
Fiction.
talking about, is this Bert or Ernie?
This is a robbery.
Ernie's the cab driver,
Okay,
right?
so this is Ernie.
Yeah.
This is Ernie driving.
Rand Paul.
Yeah.
Look it up.
So we are coming up on what I deemed the best acting in the movie, or at least the best speech when George is saving the
Town money.
the Bailey bond place and the building, and everybody's looking to get money because the bank is going to be closed for a week, and they're looking for money anywhere they can get it. Potter's offering everybody 50 cents on the dollar for any of their
For their
shares at this
shares.
place, and just buying up everything. And George's talking everybody out of it, and the first guy is like not budging. He's like, I want every dollar out.
Yeah.
And he's like, look,
That guy drives me nuts.
he's like, look, this is a loan. Your money's still here.
You know who we're talking about?
Oh, yeah.
The guy in the front.
Absolutely.
He doesn't drive you nuts.
Well, yeah.
He has $2,000 cash, which he's taking from his honeymoon stash.
Yeah.
And there's how many people? 40?
Oh, at least.
40 people. The guy in the front says, I want $272.
Yep.
Well,
That
the
just
line that I
unnerves
wrote
me.
down, the line that I wrote down that's right after this is when she says, "Could I have 17.50?"
Dude, that's exactly. Mrs.
Do you know the story
Davis.
behind it?
No.
So there's a story behind what she said. Go ahead.
I
and
just
finish that.
wrote that down as like just really impactful. I
It
wrote
was.
it down as a quote. I just said, "Can I have 17.50?" You know, and he's like, "Oh yes, you can have." You know, he's beautiful and
Yes.
gives her a kiss. Or
Here's
whatever.
Oh my
exactly
gosh.
what I need, not a cent more.
You're going to love this fun fact then. Because it was supposed to be $17, and the director pulled her aside and said, "Hey, let's shock him a little bit and give him a really weird figure instead of just $17 flat." So she says $17.50. So his kiss, his reaction is a genuine
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
Jimmy Stewart.
And 17.50 is perfect
Yeah.
because it's so exact.
yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
It's
she's
like,
probably going to buy a carton
she
of
knows
eggs
exactly
and-
what she's getting with
Yeah.
that $17.50.
Right.
Now we could go buy 3 things at the grocery store and spend $17.50.
One thing. A gallon of milk is $18.
So here's something that we probably all applaud George for in the moment. Whenever he gives the loan to the guy, the guy's like, I need $200 and whatever dollars. He's like, that's not, it's a loan. Your money's still here.
Yeah.
He goes, all right, where do I sign? He's like, no, you don't have to sign. You're good. We know you're good for it. We like applaud that moment. But as business people, we think it's the dumbest thing in the entire world in real life, right?
I am romantic about it.
Correct. That's
I would never do it today.
Correct.
But I would like to think I would have done it then.
Yeah.
Because I've watched my grandparents run businesses back in the, I saw it in the 90s, but they had run it since the 50s and 60s. And my grandpa had IOUs and
Totally.
he did business
It was
for
true
free.
credit. Like, I know this.
Yeah, I know I know in my head how much they owe me. And if they don't get it back to me, we're good.
Yeah. I'm
and
romantic
that
about
was my
too.
grandfather who wasn't a Christian throughout his life.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You're talking about.
I'm talking about
Grandpa
my
Ramsey?
Autosat. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, that's like even today, it's pretty funny. I'll have a new client that'll join, and they sign and everything, and then the question from corporate is like, well, when's the check coming in? Because we don't want to announce it till the check's coming in. I'm like, no, we'll announce it. They've signed.
Yeah.
Like they're going to pay us.
Now I will say
Marcus,
there's clients that I don't feel that good about.
Well,
when you sign.
I'm not saying I
Marcus,
understand what you're saying. I have less clients
Right.
overall than you, and it's a bigger number usually.
Did you promote a homemaker before it was on Rolo, bro? gotta get on.
No, I didn't. But that's part of my point is that I really I push those boundaries in ways that could burn me.
I got you.
But in part because I want to start the partnership off with
Yeah.
trust.
Sure. For sure.
Trent Booth, our buddy Trent Booth.
It's almost like assuming the sale, even though it is a sale. You're
Correct.
actually furthering the assumption.
Yep.
His coaching business, which is doing really well, totally replaced income and
Third party?
increased it.
Through Cucko or third party?
Third party, his own
It's
gig.
third party.
Cool.
He's
I like
cool.
Trent Booth.
Very-
Big fan.
yeah.
Trent Booth was the person who told me to read a chapter of a book every single day.
He's
And
got some
you,
good.
You can hit your reading goals if you read one chapter. Because I went back to him. I coached with him every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I went back to him, or every week actually. And I went back to him the next week. And I was like, man, I just couldn't finish any of those books, man, because I just didn't have the time to read the way you told me to. And he did basic math, and he goes, but all I said was a chapter a day. And at the time, I can't remember what my excuse was, but I basically just didn't do a chapter a day. And if I would have hit my reading goals. And it was so basic.
Yeah. He Veritas Leadership Group. So he went totally solo a year or two ago. He dang it. He does handshake agreements. He does no contracts. No,
Yeah, I know people that are like that too.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I know some like EOS implementers. What they'll do is they'll do the session, and they'll say to people like, if it wasn't worth it, don't pay me.
Yeah.
Which
Way to
I
bet on
think is
yourself.
Isn't that the
cool.
Costco or is Costco the company where you can take back anything anytime and they'll give you your money back?
However, we found out electronics has to be 90 days.
Oh, interesting. Because it's not them, it's their
I think
company.
but we bought it from the Apple booth.
But I
or
took a
whatever.
pair of underwear back there. They gave me my money back.
You know
It was
what
like
I
4
think
years
about
old.
when I think about Trent Booth?
Didn't even wash it.
What's that?
Marcus is rolling right through
Regina.
Regina.
They sent
That's where
me
he's
to
from?
Regina.
Canada? No, he's from
no.
there.
If I didn't save enough and prepare enough,
Oh.
I'd have to go to Regina because he ended up going to what's the town in?
I
not
don't know,
Quebec.
but I just remember him saying
Montreal.
it like 7
Montreal.
times in a
Montreal.
row, and I was just laughing, and everybody else was too.
I didn't want to go to Regina. Save up. All right. So on the rollback here, we're at that scene. What happens after this? Well, that's when he goes home for the honeymoon. Or
This douchebag here.
this guy.
Look at
is
this
the
guy.
wor- Ed.
How
That's
much do you
the
need?
worst.
$272. Well, you can leave this city. You're not a part
But
of
he
this.
still says, no, your money's here. It's a loan. You
Yeah,
know,
he still wants
even
it
though
there.
that guy went and took all of his money out.
Yeah.
Well,
now
he
he-
still
he-
says,
yeah, he-
Well, 'cause
definitely
the
wants his
building
money
loan,
back.
It was a contract where you had to give 60-day notice if you wanted to empty your account. So
Yeah.
everybody's playing by the rules.
What was the loan against? Their own homes?
yeah, I believe. So I was going to look this up, but my assumption is that the building and loan is basically a co-op, right?
So it's like a double mortgage.
Well, it's like people all put money in to something that only goes to build these homes or mortgage these homes.
Oh, okay. So they're the
And then-
investors.
Sounds like some triple B
CDs.
Well, I think because he says it at one point. He
It's a
says, "Well,
tranche.
that's not the way it works. It's like your money is over in his home and your money is over in their home."
Yeah, he tries to explain it.
It's almost like they're creating funds that will pay out at some point, but they've got to sell the home.
How great were
or
their
whatever.
staff meetings, though? Look, they're so goofy.
What's the line? This little baby dollar.
I think it's just so great that they've got the dollar left.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. And
Explain what you mean. I don't know what you're talking about.
well, they had $1 left, and they were just celebrating that dollar because they were able
it was
to
$2.
stay, whatever it was,
because they were going to
$2.
make little baby dollars.
Oh
They were
yeah,
gonna put them in the safe.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Well,
right.
I just love that they celebrated. Hey, you know what? We stayed open because when you get these runs on these banks, well, it's not like those banks have all of the cash.
Yeah.
Which is why there's a run on the bank. Like us banking with institutions requires a significant amount of trust on our end too.
Yep.
So I mean, there's been many times in history, this being one of them here, heading into, I'm assuming, the Great Depression, timing wise. No.
So this.
Oh no, this is way after the Great Depression because this is after.
Way after. 20,
they didn't quite
20 years
explain
after.
why. but-
Yeah.
So when I'm gonna fast forward, after this we get to see George and Mary kind of living out their roles in this community, and we really get to understand Bailey Park, which is where all these homes are.
Yeah.
And how
Largest set in Hollywood at that time, by the way.
Oh,
it
wow.
was 3 times the size of a street that it normally should have been.
So it sounds like they went all in on this.
They went
movie.
all in, and I think that, and it wasn't about, it lost money in the opening weekend,
Oh,
whereas most monies are trying to get it back in the opening weekend. Guys, we're about to come up on that scene. I just want you, while we're talking, to look at this acting, look at his facial expression, his body movements. It's just so, and I looked it up because I was like, if I think he's this good, certainly other people do. He is voted 8th on the greatest performances of all time.
For this?
At number 8.
Wow.
There's only 7 performances in all time have greater performances in movies. I'll pull it up if you guys want.
Yeah, man, he's just looking around at
You think-
this. Where am I? He's confused about where he's at, and he sees the bed. He sees her nightie.
He doesn't know what he's think. He doesn't know what to think. He sees her and he loves her and he's like really excited. He sees her. Now he's like,
I like
oh,
that
shoot.
the rain is still coming through the ceiling too. By the
Yeah.
way, classic. He's
He's
gonna
so-
walk right under it. Boom.
He's so happy.
See if you guys can give me. We've done some epic people. See if you guys can name. This was Premiere Magazine's top 100 performances. If you guys can get 5, you don't have to name the movies, just 5 actors of the top 15, I'll be impressed. But I think you can do it.
In the top 15?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Top 15 performances of all time.
Marlon Brando.
Marlon Brando, number 2,
wow.
Apocalypse Now.
Oh, wow.
Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson is number 12 for Chinatown.
Yeah. Al Pacino.
Pacino is number 4 for Serpico. Have you seen
Dude.
Serpico?
No.
Serpico's very good.
Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro, number 10 for Cape
Marcus
Fear.
and I just crushed that challenge. Let's go. Give me my ticket to
Hey,
Con.
keep going. You haven't missed one yet. Keep going.
I was going to embarrass everybody and say Denzel.
Yeah, that's embarrassing. Don't say it. Oh, actually, he honorable mention number 17
Oh, let's go.
for Fences.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
that's a
I
good
like
movie.
Fences.
It's a great
Oh, I
movie.
haven't seen Fences.
Yes.
Fences is interesting.
Okay. Oh, by the way, Pacino's on there twice in the top 20.
What's the other one?
Godfather.
Dog Day.
Oh,
Godfather Part 2.
Uh,
Hold up.
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks is
yes, Woody, number 7.
He is number 15. Right at number 15.
I'm still there.
For Big. And by the way, I'm
Big's
wrong
fun.
about some of these movies. This is like the movie they're known for, but
How many women are in the top 15? Or how many women are in this top 15 list?
1, 2,
Meryl Streep.
3. Meryl Streep is one that you would get. You're not going to get Bette Davis, who's number 5.
I might have.
And All About. You would not have gotten it.
You
But
didn't
you
even
would.
give me a chance.
You can get the other one.
I might as well go to Cannes.
You're not Audrey. None of these people want a movie from Cannes. Just so you know.
Moral of the story.
Not Audrey Hepburn, but Katharine Hepburn, The Lion in Winter. There's a couple actors you guys should get. Come on, keep going. You haven't missed one yet.
Denzel.
You got an honorable mention in Denzel.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Nope. Dang. We all know that the Academy hates Leo.
Russell Crowe.
No, not Russell Crowe. Not in the top 20 at least. All right, since we're missing them now, I'll give you the top 15. Top 15. Number 15, Tom Hanks. Number 14, Robert Duvall. Number 13, Katharine Hepburn. Number 12, Jack Nicholson. I'm feeling pretty good about the movies we've covered, by the way. Number 11, Daniel Day-Lewis. We have got to cover Gangs of New York. Gangs of New York
is awesome.
I love Gangs of New York. Robert De Niro, number 10. Gene Wilder. Hello, guys. Young Frankenstein and Willy Wonka. Number 8, James Stewart. It's a Wonderful Life. Dustin Hoffman at number 7.
Oh, I could have gotten that one.
Midnight Cowboy. Number 6 is James Cagney. Never heard of him. Number 5, Bette Davis. Number 4, Pacino. Number 3, Meryl Streep. Number 2, Marlon Brando. And number 1, Peter O'Toole for Lawrence of Arabia.
Yeah. I wouldn't have gotten that.
I wouldn't have either.
Classic
People
list.
love that movie, though.
Classic
1962. I have never seen it.
But be impressed either way.
Yeah, it was good. Well done.
Fantastic.
That's the best that I've done in terms of when you give us something to guess on.
You nailed it.
For sure.
You nailed it.
We all nailed it.
We get to see as
Hashtag
they're
nailed it.
ushering the Martinis into their new home, and but they're all in on this. Like they get all the kids in their car. The goat gets in their car to make their way to the new house. They're helping them get in there. Mary's got bread and wine to like welcome them into their new home. Sam Wainwright shows up and she's like, I don't care. Like they're just all in on this community. This is their thing, or at least Mary is. George is, yes, he knows he's doing something good, but he still has those aspirations that really bother him.
What's your question?
So I just, it's this highs of getting married and then the lows of real life.
I feel like that's pretty normal.
Yeah.
For a man and woman. I think the wife, at least in this scenario, especially in this day and age where the man works and the wife stays at home, I think that her life, I think she's thriving in her role of building the family, getting in the community, embracing it. And I think it's a lot harder for the man who had bigger ambitions that feels like he's not living up to that.
Oh,
Dude, you know what was so cool is that today my wife was homesick, and she stays home as well, but does a lot of different things. And there was somebody from BSF, like one of her leaders with her, that like came by our house and brought her like soup and a bunch of other care things. And
Bible
stuff
study
like
fellowship.
Bible study fellowship. Pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah,
It's
just
really
kind of
cool.
goes to what you were saying there.
I mean, we're making an argument for Hamilton County to be a much smaller community than we give it credit for.
Well,
Communities within the community.
it's
at least.
communities within the community.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to find your people for sure.
It is purple after all.
Yeah,
so
guys,
we
get in a
don't-
life group.
We don't love everybody.
Get in a life group. So shortly. Oh, this is the
But
scene.
only with people that you agree 100%.
Yeah, I only hang out with people that tell me yes.
So Potter, during the scene where he's making the offer to George, because George is basically like,
Which is the scene that I said. I
Yes.
love. Look how low he has to sit
Yes.
too.
Oh.
Gosh, Potter's so.
Kelsey
bad.
got so mad at this part.
Potter's so bad.
George is slowly cramping on Potter's empire, and Potter can see the tide turning, so he's gonna make this offer to him. And Potter describing George's life to him so exact has to be demoralizing that moment for George.
For
Yeah.
sure.
He's literally- here's
I
exact-
mean, he knows. Like Potter knows how to manipulate people
Yeah.
to get what he wants, and he never wastes. I put in here,
Which
like,
is why I use
he
this
never
as a part of
wastes
my
a
fantasy football
crisis.
video.
Like he never wastes a crisis. He knows how to use people to get what he wants.
Sure. As soon as the banks were shut down, he started buying. That's part of his speech that you keep talking about.
Yep.
He says Potter's not selling; he's buying.
Yep,
He's buying.
Yeah,
That's exactly right. Like, and then he says even right here. Well, some would say that you stole it, right? Or some, I mean, it's just a fascinating.
And he's not only good at that; he's good at then telling George, by the way, I know this is what you really want to do.
Yeah.
I know this is like what. And by the way,
trips to New York.
You're good enough to do all
fancy
that.
clothes
you
for,
should be
for
doing
your
all
wife.
That. Oh man, it's absolutely art of manipulation for sure.
So let me ask you something. In an alternate universe, if he did say yes and he did get inside, could he have not cleaned it up and actually helped Potter from the inside and actually helped the community? Like if that was the direction that everything was going anyway, like remember when Walmart came in and all the small stores said that Walmart's destroying small communities because all these smaller stores are, well, ultimately you could make the argument that in some cases Walmart helped the community. Could have George got in to Bailey's or to Potter's?
When he asks, I would normally say possibly, but when he goes, what about the building and loan? Potter's response is like, oh, stop talking about this stupid stuff. Like, clearly, these people are going to be put out. Like, something's going to happen. I don't know what, but I think George is in that moment realizing he's going to screw over a lot more people.
Yeah.
To begin with, anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's what it is. Is that he's realizing that $20,000 a year is coming
from other people.
On the backs of people that are in debt to Potter, or that can't afford to, have their own home and do their own thing because Potter controls the rent prices and controls the real estate and controls everything else.
Could have a really interesting debate about the morality of Robin Hood that just came to my mind, thinking about stealing from the rich and giving to the needy.
Well, okay, Robin Hood's not stealing from the rich. He's stealing from the government.
He's also stealing from the rich. When's the last time you watched it? It's not just royalty that he steals from. He steals from every passerby that has money. Why are you debating me Robin Hood on this It's a Wonderful Life?
You're the one that brought it up.
I know, but like, do you not remember?
I think it matters.
I believe he's stealing from the government.
He's not stealing from the government. He's stealing from every rich person on the road.
I disagree.
What do you mean disagree? It's the
there's
movie.
many variations of Robin Hood.
There's possible
at this point,
that there was royalty as well. Like in the first scene when he steals from Maid Marian, who has ties to the government.
Which Robin Hood are we talking about?
Well, the one that I've seen over and over again is Prince of Thieves.
Prince of Thieves.
Yeah, with Kevin Costner.
Yeah.
By the way, we just watched Bodyguard last night.
Yeah, you were all jacked about it.
Kevin Costner, Whitney Houston. It's a great movie.
He falls in love with her, right? I don't think I've seen it. Don't tell me. I'm gonna watch it.
Yes and no, but
I
yeah,
watch
it's a dude. Both of them crushed their role.
I'm a Kevin Costner fan.
Oh, he's awesome.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
I think he's great.
Hey, have you seen Dances with Wolves?
Yeah.
He's not seen Dances with Wolves.
I've never.
I think we're doing Dances with Wolves in January.
Okay.
So we're not. By the way, we're screening it. We're not going to be able to pace with this. We got to pick up. But George wiping his hand off after shaking Potter's hand
in front of him.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. I do want to say, Uncle Billy losing the money. Have you ever seen a scene that shows pride before the fall? As much as that one.
What was his pride?
Uncle Billy is rubbing it in Potter's face
Potter's
that
face.
Harry's on the newspaper and da-da-da-da-da. And, oh,
dude,
man.
I'm not going to lie. I completely missed that because I was just in such panic mode because every time I watch it, I'm thinking,
He's gonna lose
lose the money. Dude. Like, I feel like I can influence this episode. Like, don't lose the money.
Yeah, I think that we probably all... And maybe everybody in the audience, but like understands that level of panic where it's just like, I wrote down,
dude, yeah.
I actually wrote down because we had talked about the security of being like your own boss and the business owner and stuff. Well, that's the other side of it.
Yeah.
And that side of it's like, how am I making payroll next week?
Yeah.
And that is awful.
Yeah. I wrote down money.
Or like I'm going to jail.
The money causes George to literally flip into absolute anger, panic, and selfishness. It like that's his that's almost his trigger.
You know what's interesting though? He's the quarterback and he still takes it on himself. When Potter asks him,
he won't throw him on the bus.
He won't throw Billy under the bus. He and Potter even recognizes it. He goes, "You lost the money. like emphasizing that even though he's going through all these emotions, he still takes it on himself.
I keep almost saying things that I don't want to say on this podcast about him. I mean, he's so terrible.
Potter,
Yes. He's having this conversation with George,
knowing.
and he's got the money right there.
Yeah.
And he's just letting him grovel.
Yeah.
I mean,
But see, I think
that's awful.
I think that is life. I think there's a lot of unfair things that happen, and your response and how you react to it is really more telling than just that one thing. I mean, this is obviously a Hollywood glorified film.
yeah, I mean, this is an exaggeration.
Yeah. Is it an exaggeration? I had a lot of money in an app for crypto that was gone overnight. A bad decision that I made. It was lost completely.
Yeah, I mean,
and it
the
was
same
because
thing.
someone else had a bad, like, put all their eggs in one basket. Like, this isn't that too far off of.
That's not very
something.
far off of that. Or the other one that would happen in our generation that I can really think of is the online gambling.
Sure.
When people had all that money that they had won and stuff in poker.
Man, I'm seeing
and then
so much
overnight
about
it was
that.
just gone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are addicted to, and they said, by the way, that online gambling or sports betting specifically has become an epidemic now because of 20 to 30 years of fantasy sports. Because fantasy sports, people play them and feel like they get good at it, and they're like, well, I should put money behind this if I'm so good at it, and then they lose their family fortune. Like, it's an epidemic.
Oh, geez.
Isn't that crazy? I stopped sports betting altogether just because I'm terrible at it.
I just never got into
I am
it.
so bad at sports betting.
I just know myself. So I didn't do it.
George comes home. The scene where the smallest son, the smallest kid that they have, he just holds him and starts crying. I mean, I'll say I've definitely had that moment of like you're at the bottom of bottom. You've had a horrible day, whatever. You think everything's fallen through, and you literally just hold one of your kids. Like,
Well, that's the other thing is I wrote down during this moment was like hurt people, because then he just goes on a rampage against his kids. And like,
I will tell
I've
you
said
this
that
much.
I've done that kind of thing before where like it's not their fault, but I have so much stress on me that like the littlest things just put me in a spot where it's like, you need to be quiet now, or whatever.
Dude, I would kill for any of my dads to be like, Daddy, let me ask you a question. But then when I'm in that mode and they want to ask me question after question after question, the way I respond,
You said dads.
Sorry. Yes. I don't want any
That'd
dad
be
to ask me
weird.
questions.
That'd be weird. I'd kill for any of my daddies. So this is
That's a different
This podcast took a turn real fast.
Call me daddy.
Find that on Patreon.
I don't even know what we were talking about.
Find that out on the cover's OnlyFans. But you didn't know the cover had an OnlyFans.
We don't go to OnlyFans.
Yeah, that's
We were
true.
talking about just holding your kids.
No,
close
but listen,
in those
that
moments.
scene where he's talking to the nurse, or not even the nurse, the teacher.
Oh,
for
yeah.
sending home. Let me ask you something. Would you have handled that any differently?
Dude, there are.
Sends his kid home. She gets pneumonia, sick in bed because she's not wearing enough
She didn't
clothes.
have pneumonia.
Okay, but whatever. Is sick in bed because of a decision a teacher made. Tell me you wouldn't be the exact same.
Okay, so no, but when I've been stressed out, I have chewed up and spit out customer service representatives.
Oh yeah,
And
me too.
wow, just what?
You know
It's
what?
horrible.
That's different. That's different though.
That's
this
different.
is your
Those aren't
kid.
real
This is
people.
your kid.
Those aren't real people.
It is.
No,
dude.
it's not. No, I'm not saying they are not real people. That's true. But I'm not. I'm protecting them. I'm saying it's different if someone hurts your kid. You're telling me you wouldn't be yelling at someone who sent your kid home.
I probably would have been as or more frustrated with my older kids for not making sure that they had a jacket on.
Ultimately, it is their responsibility, and that's the stance that I would take.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I wouldn't have taken it out on the teacher.
Honestly, I can't remember how it starts to know the extent of it.
All these kids are walking home together, and the littlest one is the one without
She has
a
the
jacket.
flowers,
I
and
know.
she doesn't want to ruin the flower.
So, but the teacher said it was okay for her not to wear a jacket.
No, it's just Zuzu's walking out without her jacket on, and the teacher doesn't say put on your jacket.
Okay. All right. That's a little It's a little different.
That's the way I interpreted it.
But I will say that, like, if I'm going to lose my mind, it's typically over something that hurts my kids.
Yeah, no, for sure. Absolutely. That's my trigger, without a doubt.
I get that. I tend to, when they make mistakes, I put it on them. Heard a really fun story actually about that today, and I know we're running short on time, but apparently the older kids at our school got something taken away at recess. It was a game that they were playing like with balls and stuff because they were like hitting each other in the face and stuff like that. My son wasn't at school at all last week, and they decided today to tell all the kids, like, hey, we're not going to let you guys do this anymore, or at least for a time. Apparently the 6th graders were all complaining about it, and Reed, who wasn't even there and wasn't a part of it, was basically like, guys, we had the privilege and we were being too rough with it and hitting people in the face and stuff like that, and the privilege got taken away. And then all of the kids shut up, and I was like, sounds like something I say every now and then might work. Pretty cool.
Who told you this story?
His teacher.
Wow, that is cool. See, that's an opposite. Like, that's someone catching your kids doing something cool. Were they playing tennis?
Maybe.
That's probably why they got shut down. They heard the
girls
podcast.
The girls were way better at
I'm
tennis.
telling you, man. This podcast. People are listening.
Unfair advantage for the girls playing tennis.
Let's
unfair advantage.
Let's hop.
Unless they identify as a boy.
Let's hop to Clarence.
Nope, still no penis.
George. I think there was a moment where he offers Potter his life insurance policy, and Potter says, "You're worth more dead than you are alive." Mm-hmm. And that's the first moment.
There was a period in my life where I was too. I would tell you that much.
For sure.
I probably still am at the moment, to be honest with you.
And then George goes to the bridge, and Clarence has this beautiful idea. George can't help but to help people. I'm going to jump in so he has to help me.
Yeah, I love that.
Cool.
Great. Now,
because he knew what George would do.
Let it be said that we are over an hour and 10 minutes into this podcast, and it's the first time we're bringing up Clarence. It's because it's 2 hours into the movie before Clarence comes. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Because he's starting the movie, so you're anticipating the whole time.
It ends fast. Like, the ending is fast. Yeah, for sure. One of the best unsung heroes of the movie from an acting perspective is the bridge operator.
He's great.
He's awesome.
He's really
almost all nonverbal responses to everything happening. His to Clarence, it's an amazing, it's a great scene. I love the whole scene. I think it's great.
He's reacting to
I
Clarence
do love
saying
that when
things
he
about
says
being an
that
angel.
when he jumped in to save his life.
Yes,
I love that.
That is a great line.
Yeah.
And he tells him immediately. He's like, "That's why I did it."
Well, it's such a cool concept, right? Is the idea of like, I'm going to put myself in danger to save you from yourself or what you're thinking right now, or to get you out of that or whatever. It's just a fascinating concept.
Clarence, I think, from an acting perspective, does a really, really, really great job. But also, what makes him a horrible angel also makes him a really, really great angel for this.
What makes him a horrible angel?
They just kind of make fun of him for not quite being all there. He doesn't quite get it, whatever it is.
He's just a fun-loving guy.
I just don't know very many angels, so I don't feel like I can rate him. On
Monica from Touched by an Angel. Tess from Touched by an Angel.
Michael.
Charlie's Angels. There's 3 of them, I think.
Plenty of angels.
I know.
So
I'm not an expert, but there's the blonde one and a redhead.
And anything to speak on from his journey with Clarence that starts at Martini's and ends at
Nick's.
Sorry, Nick's, correct. Starts at Nick's and I believe ends at the cemetery, or ends with Mary. Ends with Mary.
I just think it's hilarious. Like, it's kind of like the Scrooge not knowing that it was him laying there dead.
Yeah.
It's like
denial.
Dude, do you really not get what's going on?
It's the opposite, though. It's the opposite of like.
Think about it though. Think about a dream you've had, because he thinks it's I feel like he thinks it's a dream. Like, it's the only way you can reason something that's irrational, because like when you're in a dream, you're still trying to prove that it's not real.
Yeah.
Like, okay, but what's really going on? It is weird.
Goes to his mom.
Yeah.
And his mom doesn't know what's
rough.
up.
Yep.
So
his brother's dead.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
but then he's like, yeah, you weren't there to save him, which is what should be learning at each stop, but it really doesn't hit him at the cemetery. Is when he's the line that Clarence says is, "You see, George, you really had a wonderful life." And that's when it really, really, really sets in with him. He's like, dude, where's Mary? You got to show me Mary.
Yeah.
Where's Mary at?
And well, and it's funny because he's like, I don't want to tell you, George. And it's like the most terrible thing in the world is that the fact that she never was married.
She's an old maid.
Yeah. Like
Your
she's
brother's
an old
dead,
maid.
but I
And by
cannot
the way,
tell you about Mary being a librarian.
She's
Yeah.
an old maid, and they pan
She's
into
an
her,
old
and
maid,
she's just
George.
not wearing makeup.
and she's got glasses.
And she's got glasses.
Timing wise, though, do you think at that time that was perceived as a
100%.
The old cat
goodness.
lady? It's the
Yeah,
old cat lady.
100%. Yeah.
My goodness, what have you done?
That's so funny.
Yeah, I just thought that it's like it's just interesting that that's the thing that was terrible.
And
You know,
she's
or
an
the
old
most
maid.
terrible is that she's an old maid.
It is what gets him to run back to the bridge and pray for his life again.
Now, so listen to this fun fact, because I'm trying to picture where this happens, because this says, while filming the scene in which George prays in the bar. When does he pray in the bar?
As soon as he gets to the bar by himself, not with Clarence.
After Clarence?
No, before Clarence, where he gets punched by the teacher's husband.
Okay.
He's literally drinking and he's just praying like, God, I don't know exactly what he says, but I don't know what else to do. Save
This
me
is
from
right
this.
before he loses it all. He
Correct.
just got done losing it at the house. He's
This
praying.
is right before he goes.
Okay,
to the
so
bridge.
listen, this will give you chills. Just hearing this. While filming the scene in which George prays in the bar, James Stewart was so overcome that he began to sob. Frank Capra later reframed and blew up the shot because he wanted to catch the expression on Stewart's face, and that's why the shot looks so grainy compared to the rest of the film.
Oh wow.
Like he literally he embodies this character, and again, he's dealing with PTSD, and he's got all this other stuff going on. But like these actors, especially if they do method acting,
Well, that's the B part that like Alan Alda talks about in his book, right? That like finding like you've got to be.
you got to embrace and
You're
embody.
not playing that person.
You are that person.
You have to be that person.
Yeah.
I think
that really comes through with
Jimmy
great actors.
felt like this is me. This is what
me.
I'm going through right now. So it's probably in many ways very easy for him to have emotions like this, like we're seeing right here.
You know how you hear a
Like he would
pastor
always say,
like
George feels that way.
you
not Jimmy.
you find what you're looking for though, because like if you hear people say I felt like the pastor was talking right at me to me, and then you hear someone else say man I did too, it's because no matter what you're going through, if you truly make an effort to identify with something or get something out of it or be a growth junkie like James Stewart is wanting to learn from this,
Yeah.
like he is gonna feel like this person is him, and us watching it we're gonna feel like it's
We're
us.
gonna identify with something,
Yeah.
a piece of that. Yeah.
I've definitely found myself being too stern with kids before and having to just stop and leave and go work out.
Yeah.
Yep, 100%. And
Might have happened this week.
Take the dog on a walk.
In
Done
George's
that before,
case, he
too.
worked out by
Step one, buy a dog.
demolishing probably years of work on what the model things he was architecting things. What did he?
Oh
what-
yeah, he crushed that.
Yeah, he did. It was not good. Mouth bleeding to him finding Zuzu's pedals. Again on the bridge was a really, really amazing stretch of realizations of I'm back. I loved that.
Well, and then he comes back and he's just like,
I love you, Bedford
beautiful.
Falls.
Yeah, I love you. I love you, old beautiful building and loan.
It's so great him running through. Appreciate all that. How he greets the reporters and the detective. You must be here to arrest me. Oh, hey, Inspector. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
He runs the funny, and maybe there's a hidden gem on this one, Rem. The knob on the staircase that keeps on coming off as he's pulling it. He does it, but like he runs back and
And he
kisses
kisses
it.
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So-
I think about that interaction all the time when I catch myself in modes where something's annoying me.
Yes.
I
I do
ask
too.
myself the
I think
question,
about that
hey,
too.
am I lucky to have this annoyance? Because I mean, we talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
We had a buddy pass away earlier this year. We've had some pretty epic lows, and it really puts things in perspective. Whereas, like, if I'm annoyed, I try to ask myself the question, am I blessed to have this annoyance?
Yeah.
And
I
it's
think
so
that's
much
the
better on
That's
me,
so
I'll tell
good.
you
That's
that
the
much.
entire turnaround. I mean, that is, you just literally described the turnaround from what he was thinking pre-Clarence to what he was thinking post-Clarence. He's literally appreciating all these
Yeah.
things that were either stressing him out or he thought his life was over or whatever.
By the way, it does not work to offer this as a growth moment for your wife when you're annoying her.
You're telling me you don't hand her a
You're
20
really
pound
blessed.
vest?
You're
when
really
she-
Yeah.
blessed right now.
You're
to have
telling me
as
if I
your
died, you
annoyance.
wouldn't miss this? You wouldn't miss my chomping? You
You're
wouldn't
really,
miss
you're
my
really
heavy
blessed
breathing?
to have me as your annoyance. That's what I'm going to say.
That's right.
Yeah, and I
as
just
our
love,
wives listen to this, hopefully I'm not annoying her right now.
It's usually in the car and I get punched.
everybody's showing up. Mary shows up. Hey, they're all coming. All the families are coming, whatever, and they're showing up with different sums of money, and they all tell stories about how they got the money. And it's all tied to people that he's helped in the past. One of my favorites is Annie. Annie, the housekeeper from his parents' house, shows up. I was saving this for divorce in case I ever get married. So good. But just people from his past that he really, really loved on. And it's the community that he sacrificed to build, to your point earlier, that ended up showing up for him. It was awesome.
Which is great because Potter says, why don't you go to those people?
Dude.
Like, he says that. Well, why don't you go to those people for the money? What do you have? You have this life insurance policy that's got $50 or whatever. You've got no assets.
$500 in equity.
Okay, well, $500. $500 in equity. You have no other assets or anything that you can. Why don't you go to those other people who, you say you've helped or whatever? Like, why don't they help you?
Man, just really.
And then guess who does help?
Those people.
And Sam. Sam gives a lot too.
Sam gives a line.
Yeah, but at the time you're thinking they already made it. The music is playing. Clarence already got his wings by that point. You're like, okay, he's good. And then oh, did you say Sam?
Sam.
I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah.
I was thinking Harry this whole time.
Well, I do think it's really funny when like the people who are supposed to be arresting him are like, well, we'll throw him. Oh,
dude, that's good too.
Yeah, that's a hidden gem.
Too.
Thanks. You just took my hidden gem. We have some good ones.
So my last question, and we're gonna go a little long. My last question, why? Because I'm the host and it's my movie.
Listen, it's not longer than many of our other ones.
That's true. Why do we let the pressures of life take our eye off the ball? Why does that happen? It happens to me once every 3 or 4 months where I will let the pressures or the stress of life take my eyes off of what really matters. And then once I remember what really matters, nothing changes, but I feel so much better. Why do we let that happen?
You want me to answer?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Marcus.
Well, I just think it's interesting that it's Christmas Day. I gave a talk last week at church to a bunch of men about joy. Yep. And I think that a lot of it comes down to perspective, right? It's like, are we taking joy in the things that are worldly? So if we're going to be opening presents and things, it can be great and it can be joyful, but is that the thing that we put our joy in? Or do we put our joy in the idea that we have a Savior who saved us from our sin and saved us from this sinful world, right? And to me, like, that's the message of Christmas. That's the message of anything that, like, if we can find it to keep that perspective all the time, I think that so many of like the worldly things that bother us don't bother us as much. Like, we can still have joy in those trials. Yeah. And I don't know, that just came to mind because it got a little deep there. But
no, but I had a buddy reach out, actually, for somebody Rem connected me to, Jason Heatbrink, reached out a couple weeks ago, about a month or so ago, and I was in a little bit of a funk, and the question he asked was, when's the last time you meditated on the gospel? And it was like, yep, that's it.
The good news.
That's it. That's
what today is all about. Yeah. Like, that's what Christmas is all about. And I think sometimes that gets lost, and I think that's, in a lot of ways, he focuses on all the ways that he's lucky, all the gifts that he's been given through his family and stuff. But like, Jesus is that greatest gift for us.
Yeah, I think that was going to be my answer, is when it's really hard for someone, if you're being good at something and being successful, whatever that means, is actually sometimes your demise, because you are putting that pressure on yourself to be that person all the time. And so you start doing that in areas where you need to just rely on God. Like, literally, he wants you to stop trying. He wants you to rely on him and trust him. And that's one of the hardest things for successful, quote unquote, people to do, no matter what.
Right, because we've proven to ourselves so many times.
Yep.
I got this.
And we don't understand, and we don't. At least I haven't understood in the past, like, what those trials are setting me up for.
Sure.
but it's always something.
Yeah, every
it's
time.
always something. And so, like, learning to take joy in those and having that wisdom, like, it's really hard and it has to be earned in some ways.
Yep.
But I think that's a big piece of it.
I responded to a text in the thread earlier, kind of as a joke. It was they were all Steve Poe quotes. I don't know if you guys caught that, but I was like, "Oh, that's a yay God." We don't see the upper story; we only see the lower story.
I saw that.
But it's so true because every time my moaning and complaining and wailing at the end of it, it's like, "Oh, well, now it makes sense."
Yeah,
Could have just said that, bro.
Would have been way easier.
Yeah, but would it have the impact? Would it impact me for what he's preparing me for 2 years from now from this moment? No. Yeah. For sure.
Whenever that happens, I just realize that I haven't been listening. I've been talking.
Yeah,
So he probably was saying it. You were talking over him.
that's true. Probably. There have been many red flags I've been given in my life to save me from horrible situations, and then when I don't listen, he just has to run me over with a Mack truck. And then when I get up and I'm like, maybe it wasn't that bad. Then he like backs up over me again. That's great. Best quotes from the movie. I'll start very opening. They're talking about George, God, and the angels, and he goes, "Is he sick? No, worse. He's discouraged." Mm-hmm. So true. What else we got?
Oh, you were laughing. I thought it was going to be funny. I wish I had $1 million. Hot dog.
Okay, what is the fire? What is the
candle
lighter
thing?
machine candle situation? What is that?
It's a cool little lighter for cigars.
So does it not always work? Is that the
yeah,
luck part of it?
I think
Okay.
like a lighter, like if
got
you
it.
think about the amount of times you have to flick a lighter for it to
Got
finally
it. So
work.
getting on the first try is like not.
But what I don't know is, does hot dog mean it will work or it doesn't work? Is hot dog good or bad?
Good.
hot dog,
It's good. So he's
yeah.
going to get $1 million.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hot
Okay.
dog. Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
think it's just one of those things that you wish, and then if it lights up, you put a
I
quarter
feel
in
like
or whatever.
I've even said hot dog to things recently.
Because of this movie?
No, just
Hot dog.
Hot dog.
No, I say hot dang. Hot dang. Like when some good happens. Hot dang.
Interesting.
I love every time George says that's my trick here. What was that? When they talk into his ear. When they say something that like when Potter says
Yeah.
that's my trick here. What was that?
Second movie in a row where people have permanent hearing loss.
Oh. There's a thread. There's always a thread.
First one was Die Hard. It was Bruce Willis.
Loved George's dad's quote to George when he talks about him running the building and loan at Harry's age, and he says, "You were born older, George."
Yeah.
Like I think we all
Old
know
soul.
people who are just born.
I
older.
wrote down you were born old. When I said I feel that some days. Thanks, guys.
Clarence says, "Remember, George, no man is a failure who has friends."
That's right.
He writes that. He writes that
Inscription in the book.
Yes.
I wrote down, "This is a very intriguing situation."
When she's stuck in the
Yeah.
hydrangea bushes.
When she's in the bush naked,
Yeah.
he's like,
The best,
interesting.
the best part of that is when he, what's her name, Mary?
Yeah.
Where she disappears, he's turned around and he looks, and the only thing he can see
Oh.
is the thing. So he looks down, and he looks close, and he goes, "Mary," like she's like disappeared in the ground.
Rapture. It was the rapture. They missed a
So
great
good.
opportunity to talk about the rapture there. I love George's quote back to his dad. So George is basically like, I don't want to work in this building and loan forever, blah, 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 blah. And then his dad kind of goes on this monologue about what the building and loan means to the community. And he goes, "Pop, you want a shock? I think you're a great guy." How great would that be for one of our kids to say that to us someday?
Yeah.
Pretty good.
I would cry. All right, so I found the entire interaction when she loses her robe. She's naked in the bush. George goes, "This is a very interesting situation. Please give me my robe. A man doesn't get in a situation like this every day." Mary, "I'd like to have my robe. Not in Bedford Falls, anyway." She goes, "Ouch, ouch, gesundheit." George Bailey inspires a little thought. "Give me my robe. I've read about things like this. Shame on you. I'm going to tell your mother." "Well, my mother's way up on the corner. I'll call the police." "Well, they're way downtown, and they'd be on my side." It's just like so quick, the dialogue. He delivers it so perfectly. Maybe I can sell tickets.
I can't remember where this. I can't remember when he's asked this, but I like when he just says, "I think I'll go find a girl and do some passionate lovemaking." I just thought that line was hilarious.
Does he say lovemaking or necking? Maybe I just have necking. Stuck in my
sorry,
head.
Passionate Necking.
Yep.
Yep.
Dude, I know this movie.
Very different.
Oh,
Very different.
I don't know, man.
Passionate.
Their necking. All I could think about during the necking would be Riley yelling at me for scraping my just shaved stubble against her face.
That's Remington's sister. You're talking about.
She hates it when I let my face touch her face. We would never be able to.
My face touch your face.
She hates it. when
What
my
is your
face touches
stubble on? Is that a half or one? Is that two?
She hates it when my
thi-
face touches her face.
3, 2.5. No, that's all.
That's a 3?
Yeah, there's a 3.
What do you put your guard on? Do you have a guard?
Yeah. When I usually put it on as a 2, but then I let it grow out.
I usually do a 2 as well, and I went to the barber and I was like, go ahead and do the beard. She did a half. It was awesome. It felt so good.
nice.
I'd never done a half guard before.
Yeah.
Well, be careful though. A half on the hair clippers might be different. No, a half is still a half.
We'll
Okay.
find out tonight.
I think it's still a half. I don't know. No. Time out. They're not like inches. Yeah, I think a half on a beard trimmer is different than a half on hair clippers.
Yeah.
Maybe she was on a half on the hair clippers.
No,
So it wasn't
she
that
wasn't. It's
Dude,
super
you're wrong.
small
You're so
stubble.
wrong.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Lucius. Okay.
What if Clarence is his father?
Have you guys watched that yet? Have you guys watched?
No, man.
No.
I just loved this
Glad
part.
Did
Gladiator
you see
too.
Moana too?
Sam Wainwright on the phone says, George, the chance of a lifetime. And this is in one of the most passionate, tension-built moments while they're on the phone. And she goes, he says it's the chance of a lifetime. And you just felt this like, oh, man, they're about to make out passionately. It's happening. He says it's the chance of a lifetime. That was good.
This is definitely a G-rated episode. I think this will be a family-friendly episode.
Listen to what I wrote down in the moment. I was so into it. George breaks down and finally gives up and gives in to Mary. It's beautiful.
There was some weird quotes about like the very first when he does the freeze frame in the beginning. Clarence, I'm looking for. Oh, he goes, that's the face of George Bailey, and Clarence goes, it's a good face. I like it. I like George Bailey.
See, Clarence is a little peculiar.
a little off, a little
yeah.
queer.
Yeah, yes, that's a good word.
He
I
wears-
liked it. Yeah.
He wears that 1700s
Yeah.
undershirt. That's a hidden gem.
My wife got it for me for my birthday.
Are we in hidden gems?
I'll be not yet.
Brett is milking this episode. Brett is like, I want this episode to go on.
Bank
and on.
Examiner, by the way, my favorite quote from him when George Bailey's talking about his brother Harry being in the paper. You think of a Bank Examiner being very dry and just, okay, we're going to get this done. He goes, yeah, my brother Harry got the Silver Medal of Honor. He goes, well, I guess they do those things.
Yes, yeah.
That's good.
That
Marcus,
was
anything else?
No, we've used mine.
Favorite quote of the movie? A toast to my big brother George, the richest man in town.
Yep.
So good. All right, hidden gems, Rem.
That goes along with what we're saying about what is success, what is rich, what is wealthy.
Yeah.
Hidden gems, just Harry being an 18-year-old and slapping the maid in the butt and chasing her around.
Little strange,
Little,
right?
little not definitely wouldn't happen today.
Yeah, it was different.
Different relationships you got
The
away
dad
with.
being like, hey, no gin drinking tonight.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
Okay.
But specifically the 18-year-old smacking the maid on the butt.
Also funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Made
Movie
me
magic. The rate at which Gower got George's ears to bleed, not happening. That
I don't know.
fast.
One smack in the wrong.
Really?
Oh yeah.
You
For
think it's
sure.
a ruptured eardrum?
Oh yeah.
You could definitely.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I need to fight more.
Oh.
They continue dancing. They're doing the Charleston competition. Once they fall in the pool, George keeps dancing.
Yeah.
That's
great.
He's a competitive guy.
When George is running through the rowdy section of Pottersville, one of the signs he passes says "Welcome Jitterbug." So it's like all nightlife stuff. It's
So
all.
I wrote that down.
Do you know what that is?
A jitterbug?
The jitterbug dance was often frowned upon. That's why it said no jitterbugging allowed. That was what signs were saying. It was not respectable for establishments.
Oh.
I think we should do the jitterbug.
So if you got caught jitterbugging, you'd get like, hey, I'm calling the police.
Definitely.
No, you'd be
Kicked
looked
out?
down
You'd be
upon
kicked
as
out
a
of-
man or a woman.
Well,
of the
if
night.
you'd be kicked out of the nightclub.
Got it. Well, this you brought up an age-old question.
Can you show
is it
me what
illegal or
jitterbugging
frowned
is?
upon?
I could
It's
not.
not
show you
illegal.
what
Anything is
jitterbug
illegal
is.
that the club says get out if you're doing it.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Marvelous Miss Maisel. Have you ever seen that?
I wanted to watch it. Riley didn't.
It
wanna
is
watch
very good writing,
Oh,
but
yeah?
it talks about one of the earliest comedians. Did you watch it? So I'll look up that comedian, but he gets kicked out of clubs for being too racy about politics, like stuff that you would never see today. Be kicked out of for you'd be kicked out of
like borderline
that was part
communism.
of-
and by the
That's-
way, you can get away with politics and racism if they're laughing, but like
Correct.
Kramer says something
Well, dude, you got to nail a joke.
anti-Semitic and gets booed off stage and canceled.
You got to be good.
Yeah,
Chappelle's
gotta be
like.
I knew he was gonna say Chappelle.
Brett
Brett has
Loves Chappelle.
Brett has
He's on my
allegiance to Colin Cowherd and Chappelle like you would not believe.
Dude, they're on my list of if you could have a meal with someone. Chappelle's on the list.
Malcolm Gladwell
when-
also
when
on the list.
Yeah, he's up there. He's
that was pretty
definitely
cool, but I don't
he's
know.
definitely up there.
He's
there's
not Dave Chappelle.
Seinfeld and Bill Maher.
Yeah.
Bill Burr.
Bill
These guys
Burr.
are all talking, and they're talking about how Chappelle just has this way of like dodging lasers on stage. It's
Yeah.
an art, man. You got to nail it. And Kramer did not nail it.
He also says it to a crowd he knows he can get away with. Kramer's not saying it to a crowd he can get away with.
Yeah, maybe. Why don't we ever cover why Uncle Billy has a crow and a squirrel? It's never.
Dude,
it's
I
never-
found this fun
Well,
fact
he
about
goes
this
to the
crow,
insane
and I
asylum.
didn't even know what they were talking. He goes to the insane asylum?
Well, he does.
in without George.
in the alternate universe, he does. Yeah,
Probably when his father dies. Or when his brother dies.
Interesting. I didn't catch
because
that.
he's like he's a little slow. Like there's
Okay.
something about him.
That
yeah.
makes sense. That makes
Wow.
sense.
And it's his mom's brother too. It's not even.
Oh,
So
Dad's
speaking of alternate universe or other scripts, in one of the original drafts of the script, the character Mr. Potter didn't exist. Instead, George was shown a reality in which he became a powerful and corrupt politician, and the climax of the film is where he fights this doppelganger and basically wins.
interesting.
And the bad George is thrown over the bridge.
Oh,
So a
jeez.
very
that's like a superhero movie.
very
basically.
different movie.
Hidden Gem. I loved when. Did you guys catch when George scraped the step to light the cigarette? I want to do that. I want
Use
he's walking out of his mom's
concrete
house,
for a match.
Use concrete for a match, and it takes me back to 6th grade. And then he hears a train and he throws all his travel papers away. Because remember, he said the 3 best sounds are a train, a plane, and something else, a boat or something like that. And then he literally is like, basically, he's sad about Harry getting this job and having to stay.
Oh, so he throws them.
He hears the train and then he throws away. It's pretty
Yeah, I wrote down the last hidden gem that I had was shooting in the 40s movies was hilarious to me. So the cop,
Oh, shooting.
the cop is going to
Just
shoot
shoots
him,
away.
and he's just like his hand moves so much when he shoots. He's like,
Yeah,
like
Wild
he's faking
West.
like he's a little kid or something. It's like like actors today take painstaking efforts to make sure that it's like as realistic as possible. And this guy in the 40s is just like
Pew pew pew.
Oh, Bert. Ernie? Bert.
I don't always like some of the fun
Bert's
facts
the cop.
because I think it ruins movies. But so cover your ears if you want this.
You're
to,
literally the fun fact guy.
I know.
Do it.
This fun fact is really interesting. This was filmed in mid-July. It was so hot they had to take periodic days off because the crew was so hot and overexhausted from filming the stuff in the
So
snow.
I've heard
Does
that.
that mean that we finally get to find out what happens to solid water when it gets warm? Like Olaf would have loved it there. It was so hot and it was snowing at the same time.
So I've heard Hollywood has used back in the day potato skins for snow.
So I don't know
What?
about what they use now.
Got it.
At the time, they were snow it wasn't potato skins. They were using something else, and essentially this film changed how they did.
It looks great.
Snow as well.
Yeah.
So like
great.
that was one of the other things they reinvented using. Like it was cornflakes that they were using. It was too loud. They had to redo all the filming because they were blowing the cornflakes and they couldn't hear the dialogue.
You just get smacked in the face with a cornflake.
They started using foam, water, and soap.
Love.
Crazy.
And that changed the next 20 years of snow and films.
Man, this movie was just so influential for our future. It's a great pick. Potter has a portrait of himself in his Potter has a portrait of himself in his office. Yeah. It's just him. These kid actors, George's kids, Zuzu was the only one worth anything. All of them sucked. They were horrible
Daddy.
actors.
Maybe that's what Brett was talking about earlier.
Excuse me.
His daddies.
Excuse me. What? I burped. Excuse me. Oh, they're horrible.
First of all, every one of our kids has done that exact same thing.
These kids are horrible actors. Zuzu was very good.
Now, there's no way you can have a 9 if the kid actors are bad.
No chance.
It's got to be a flawless movie.
Rating time. Rating time.
After you picked it apart, I don't know what I'm going to give it.
Rating time. I will go first. It is a 9 all day for me. I understand it might be biased. Here's the thing. If Remington ends up poo-pooing my movie the way the kind of poo-poo it is, I'm not offended at all. I know it might be my movie. It's a 9 for me. Which
movie did you poo-poo? Casablanca?
I give it a 7.
Yeah, that's poo-poo for sure.
Okay, all right. I might.
Especially because you're a big fan now after the podcast. I'd be interested to see you watch it the second time, having watched it the first time and having talked about some of the stuff.
Agreed.
That'd be interesting.
Agreed. Yeah.
Because it's a Wonderful Life I've seen probably 20 times.
There's a reason, Rem.
I've also seen Casablanca 20 times. Brett.
What'd you rate Casablanca?
I can't remember. 8.5 is what I rank this.
It's a great movie.
I think I gave Casablanca a 9.
Yeah, I think so too.
8.7.
Yeah, man. That's
very
good.
What keeps it from being a 9 for you?
I think like some of the acting's really good, some of the acting's really bad.
Is there ever been a movie in the 40s, 50s, 60s where all the acting is great?
I don't know.
Like I don't know that I've seen a movie that's old where it's like top
and
to
here's
bottom.
the thing, though. It sticks out to us.
8.7 is really good.
Oh, dude. Really good. It sticks out to us so much because we've seen so much great just cinema in general now.
Yeah.
Back then, it might not have stuck out at all. It might have just been like...
This is the best of what we got.
I think I'm just going on gut, but like I just feel like my 9s... on the movies spectrum, my 9s are like, hey, these are my favorite favorites.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a 9 for me that we'll watch at some point is Dan in Real Life. I could watch that. 2 nights in a row.
I love Dan in Real Life.
And It's a Wonderful Life. There'll be Christmases where I'll be like, oh, we should watch it, but if we don't, it's okay. I think it's a little long. I think it's a little long for me to like really just pop in and watch it. I think you could accomplish the same thing in an hour and 40 minutes.
I wish it was longer.
I know you do. Which is crazy. To get Brett to stay up past 10 o'clock, period, is the miracle.
Brett's loving how long this podcast is.
I know.
We got to let people get to opening their presents. They listen to us before
as
they
they
open
woke
their
up
presents.
before. Thank you, guys. Merry Christmas.
Thank you for just spending
Should we end with another carol?
Your Christmas morning with us.
Let's sign off.
Oh, we didn't say that hidden gem. Is that the carol that we sang, Hark the Herald Angels Sing, is the same one that the kid is playing in in this movie that he gets so annoyed with, which I absolutely can relate to. A kid just doing the same thing over and over and over again. No, oh my god.
Marcus has a kid that plays violin. The best kids that play violin are horrible at it. I will tell you that right now. I don't even want to be near your house when that happens.
What's interesting is I much prefer violin to my son that's practicing guitar all the time.
A good 12-year-old violin player is a horrible violin player. They're all horrible. I've been to the they're so bad, but maybe not. You know, it is Colby, so she proves wrong.
What's a good movie? What's a good song to sign off with as we're fading out here?
Well, we have the 9th question. We have to get to 9.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Good tidings we
I was trying to let you do this.
What's next?
What's
is the next question?
What's the next?
What is next, boys and girls? What do you think is
Well,
next?
we're done with Christmas.
We are.
Hey, we need to check the email apparently, but write us at thecoverpod@gmail.com. Influence the January picks.
Yeah, well, I didn't necessarily pick this book, but it was recommended to us. We're excited about it. The Devil in the White City.
I'm loving it so
Very good book. Very good book. Excited about that next week. And then we get to the month of Marcus, where I get to pick the movies.
The month of Marcus.
So
why? Oh,
for the record, by the way,
May.
I wouldn't commit to next week. Are you committed to next week?
Oh, Devil in the White City.
Yeah.
We said that.
Oh, great.
So
well, then
I don't want it
next week.
either. I've been, listening to it faster than I would have.
I'm on a roll.
Okay, let's just pick another movie right now against
sorry.
all
this
of our.
This is just another scenario where we had plenty of time to read the book, and
No,
Marcus
no.
is already done with the book.
You're
and
done with the
wondering what-
book?
Yeah, wondering
Did you
what
listen to it?
No, I read it.
Wow.
Read it. Now he's gonna listen to it as well. All right,
Wow.
Devil in the White City.
Hold on.
Okay.
We just voted that.
No, I didn't vote.
I thought it was next.
Let's all say this. Let's all say the
might
movie.
be
hey,
next.
on the count of 3, say the movie you want to do. Ready?
Okay, hold on.
1, 2, 3.
Good
Slumdog
housekeeping.
Millionaire. What'd you say?
Airbud.
What'd
I
you
said
say?
Good Housekeeping.
I was
Good Housekeeping.
joking, by the way.
The magazine?
No, sorry. It was supposed to be this.
Good Will Hunting is what you meant?
Step Brothers joke is what I was making.
Well, I'm the only one that said a movie, so I guess we're doing that.
What'd you
one.
say?
Good Will. Slumdog Millionaire.
Slumdog Millionaire. Okay.
Oh,
I
see,
love that movie.
If you guys would have taken this assignment more seriously.
I thought we were doing Dances with Wolves.
No, you didn't think that. That's
I
the
thought
first
I
time
was
you've
picking-
ever brought that up.
I thought I was picking for Q1. That's what I thought.
For y'all Q1?
That's what I was told.
All of Q1, we're doing a...
Well, yeah, I thought we were all going to do one quarter. That's what.
Holy cow.
Originally.
No
Remington
way.
needs more control.
I definitely need more control. We would lose all our listeners in Q1.
There is a 1% chance this is left in the podcast. We're gonna go back and cut it when we sing. You're never gonna know this happened.
Oh yeah, what were we saying? God rest you, merry gentlemen.
Nothing you dismay.
Remember Christ our Savior was born on Christmas Day to save us all from Satan's power, lest you would go astray. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy.